Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. I got about an hour to burn. My wife
Beautiful.
is going to come back and we're
I
going to
I
go do
I
some.
love what you were saying, and I can tell you. And I was trying to be upfront on Front Street. I was mitigating a loss today. Like I was in drawdown, and I traded myself out of drawdown in a very nice, clear way. I demonstrated it, but what I didn't show was the L I took. And I think the question or the conversation of people and the difficulty of the markets, are they getting waxed? I mean, you clearly understand what's happening, but I wanted to make it very clear. I was trading out of drawdown today, utilizing sheer skill set that was able to allow me to mitigate losing or having a red day.
Well, I mean, I made some mistakes. I did a recording before I started this here. It's rendering, but I'm going to let it cook a little bit longer because I want to try to see if the translations can be done. Say by I don't know what's the time here, 2 o'clock. Say by 3:30, I want to see if it'll populate the closed captions in foreign languages. I don't know how long it takes to do that, so I'm trying to use this as a benchmark to determine how long I have to make the video, and then give it time to make the translations. I get inundated with emails and complaints to me all the time about we don't understand your language, but it's YouTube's issue, not mine. It's not an immediate thing, but I made a mistake today, and you'll hear me talk about it in the review. While I was talking to my sons, I was holding a short, and I was like, I'm going to take one of them off here. And I thought I changed the three in the contract volume that I'm going to be executing under. I thought I changed it to one, but it didn't change. It was still at three. So when I tried to close one as a partial, I ended up closing three. And between that and my youngest son, like nudging my arm, like to say, like, Dad, what did you just do? Because he heard me say I want to take one off, and he watched three come off, and it completely took me out of my focus. And I was like, okay, well, we'll just keep it as it is. I wanted to do something else with it. I'm gonna try to see if I can have one left on to get back to full gap closure. Could it have failed to get down there? Sure, but at least that was what I was going to try to do. So I messed up today too. I mean, it was a whole lot of excitement in the volatility. I got real close to the high, and I'm happy about that. So
See, you crushed the short, and that first BISI that formed, it was one that I measured, and I was actually creating, some framework and really looking at previous conversations that you've had with the community within the Trader Roundup kind of format here, and that one-on-one style that you offer the student that is unique to here for the folks that want to are listening. We have this archive, and it is on the website. It's 100% free for you. We're putting a little more of a forum together, like the OG days, so that there can be a little bit more communication. But I want folks to know that's a very good, valuable place to learn and just go back and listen to these archives. So I've been mentioning, Michael, obviously core content. That seems to be a missing piece for so many students that I talk to that suddenly hear about you. They go back to the 2022 mentorship clearly or one of these years thereafter, but I feel like the entire community is like off in that there are a lot of new folks that just don't pay attention to core content. And if they were to do that, things like loss mitigation, you talk about it clearly in different chapters in month 2 specifically with risk management, right? And then obviously the breadth of a candle and how to read month 4 and the importance of order block and order block theory as you lay out each individual chapter within that entire month of information. So anyway, we're talking loss mitigation, loss management, and you said you talked about it within the rendering. Would you like me to bring some folks up or
sure, yeah. I mean, however you want to spend the hour. If you just want to chit chat, if you want to have people come up and ask questions,
I
that's
mean,
fine.
I love talking about the price action real quick with you one on one, brother. If you want to know the truth and bring up some folks, we got Pit Munch here as well. I'd love to include her, and we will bring some more folks in. But I mean, I was with the volatility I had longed, and it came down and short and took me out, and I was in drawdown instantly. And for the rest of the session, I was looking for that pivot and those original draws that I had on the bullish side to try and come back and kind of revert them back in the range. I was taking into account things that you had previously talked about in the last trader roundup of these 2 hour kind of cycles, and looking at like, okay, well, we're super bearish and we're going to be super bearish probably for this wave of structure that's coming in. And if I were to do anything, I have to wait. And so that's precisely what I did. And waiting for more of a London close and a PM move from that strong volatility to the downside, I was just looking for bullish retracements back after that strong bearish price leg down. And we ended up getting it, and I felt like it was a high probability, but I was mitigating a loss the entire time. And I believe there's a skill set as traders and willing to come to the market in drawdown, knowing that you're there to mitigate a loss. You're trying to, I mean, it was such an interesting thoughts going through my mind today, Michael, in that, like, being a trader trading an edge versus someone who is gambling. And I refer to the form gambling because if you're going in after you've done a loss, you have to have a level of confidence and surety in how you're moving within the market, and that's shown through your executions, right? And the way we do a base one within our community, you're going to see how someone's moving and how they're, again, if they're mitigating a loss or how they're latticing up the market or down the market with logic. And that means sometimes more than one entry. That means, again, there's a lot to mitigating a loss, Michael, that I believe within the skill sets of trading is very worthy of a discussion. And you mentioned it. And that's kind of just what I would love to hear more of your thoughts, getting your brain of mitigating a loss. Like, okay, you came in, whoop, something happened. You were wrong. Now what? Now you're behind the gun, but you're still trusting in all of your analysis for what hasn't happened yet, but will happen with time, potentially.
Well, as it relates to dealing with losses or mitigating them, traversing to the other side of them, it's very difficult for someone that's trying to do this and avoid all losses because that it's not going to be possible. Okay, and the faster you warm up to the idea that you're going to do things incorrectly, and that's okay, it's human. You're going to discover how to do it correctly when you make mistakes, and no one really forces that truth on people in the beginning because no one will buy their courses, no one will buy their memberships, their workshops, their whatever they're selling, because it reminds them that hey, there is really a potential to lose here. And even if we are subconsciously thinking that's for someone else to experience, it's not going to happen to me. It's going to rise up in us and it's going to make us feel like we're going to be the exception. We want to think that we're the exception to the rule, and no one is. No one's the exception. We're all going to encounter it. And the way I teach and try to get my students to understand that the sooner you get into the mindset that sometimes you as the operator, you as the primary source of responsibility for every transaction, every inability to participate. In other words, when you should have pushed the trade, when you should have exited the trade, when you should have added more, took partials more, or reduced the open position because things looked a little iffy. It was less probability in your favor for the trade that was originally outlined in your model and what you see in price action, your analysis. It doesn't look as strong. And you're getting that nagging feeling in your gut that you feel like maybe I should get out of it, but you don't have the full conviction to close it out. Well, then you should take off half the position or the majority of the position. And as long as the price doesn't rip away, you can use another PD array to put all that position right back on. Without knowing what it is you're trying to do and having a model, you're going to be reactionary to everything. And the worst two things that you can be reactionary to is the psychological impact of your indecision or your decisions that you made as it relates to the trades and the emotional stimuli that comes with it. So you have emotional and psychological. And everybody's excited when we come in. We slept, we wake up, we're getting ready to go into a new session. We're optimistic. We're like, I can't wait to get in here. I want to catch a nice swing. I'm going to catch a nice run. I want to get my target. I'm going to make my $100 or whatever it is you're trying to aim for. And then as soon as you push the button, now you're wrestling demons. You're wrestling with the idea of, well, I let go of the steering wheel and the gas pedal's floored. So where are we going with this? And you've lost all control. You have to submit to yourself to what the market's going to do. So the only thing you can do is know your model, know how to read price action, and continuously give that feedback loop an opportunity to console you, not scare you. And that's why I was saying last night in the lecture, and I've said it ad nauseum. When you have folks that will say, you only need one trick pony PD array, you only need one of them. Get all this off your chart. When you do that, you're literally stripping yourself the opportunity of peace of mind. You don't need every PD array to enter on, but you do become better at reading when you know what they are. And you don't have to necessarily know when they're forming, but once they're in price action, you can refer back to it and say, oh, yeah, that's that wick. And it went down there and it only went down to half of that. And it's been bullish since then. That's actually a positive. So you encourage yourself with that. You're giving yourself continuous positive self talk. That must happen in every trade that you're in. If you're not doing that, you're sitting with idle hands, and idle hands worry. Idle hands stress. Idle hands get overconfident. They add to positions that are already too long in the tooth. That means they've been going for too long, and greed starts tapping you in the shoulders. So by giving a positive self-talk and reminding yourself every individual candlestick has some part of the plot. They're they're actors in the storyline that's unfolding in price action, and you have to let them say what they are supposed to say. It's part of the script. Even if it's moved past it, two or three, six candles, 10 candles, go back and say, okay, I'm feeling a little anxious. Let's go back through the chain of custody. Where did price start this run? And is every candlestick supporting the idea that I supposedly expect in the technicals, but it's not realized yet? So I have to keep a loose grip on it. The only thing you hold firm and hard with is impeccable risk management. You have to be diligent. You have to be forceful in that regard. But when your trades are panning out, you have to be very velvet glove, soft. Don't try to grip it and hold it with the death grip. Allow every individual candlestick to give you feedback to tell you whether or not everything is it's copacetic or it's not. But when things start to unravel and you start seeing warning signs that maybe this isn't what I thought I was going to do, it's not weakness when you're first learning to do these things for you to bail on it entirely. Because what you have now is you have a finite end to the pain or the negative impact. And now you have a complete, here's the beginning point when you got into the trade idea. And now you removed it because you're no longer seeing the things that supports or should support the idea. And when you're new, you got to protect your mindset. You got to protect it. Because if you start taking in bad habits, saying, well, ICT says, I should be holding for 2 hour trades. Otherwise, you're a weakling. And I'm not saying that. In the beginning, it's going to be very hard for you just to get in the trade, let alone stay in it for 30 seconds to 5 minutes. You graduate slowly in a progression, and you constantly give yourself a little bit more exposure to things that you've not done ever or have very little experience in. And taking losses is something that you should not fear. You're not going to know what to do and how to read price action until you fail trying doing it. Say it out loud right now. You don't need to say it in the microphone to me, kid. But everybody listening, say it out loud in your own voice. It is productive for me to experience losses in the early stages of my development. Otherwise, how will I recognize when I'm doing it incorrectly? By having something as a benchmark as easy as failing, failure is not, you're never going to be able to do it. But look at the weight of that statement when you first start. I tried to take this concept and I tried to use it and I tried to get in there and it didn't work. And then what do you feel like? You feel like your spouse has been cheating on you and you walked in on it. You're gutted. Why? Because you're bringing ignorance. You don't know anything about yourself as a trader. You have no rule-based ideas being applied. You don't even know what the model you're trying to trade with. You don't know how to read the PD arrays. You can say, oh, I can see that when he talks about it or when someone else is saying it, but you can't see it when it's forming or before it forms. So is it fair for you to beat yourself up in regards to experiencing a loss or having to work through mitigation? Or what happens if you try to do mitigations in a loss or a series of losing trades and you make the loss even bigger? That's really going to make you feel like you're, in a world of crap. You're going to be real easy to talk yourself out of trading. Or the pain and the discomfort of that is going to make you feel like you're in a house of fire. And what are you going to do in there? You're going to run. You're going to try to get out of there as fast as you can. And the only way you can escape a house on fire that's burning in equity and drawdown, the natural tendency and the mindset shifts to trade more. And in reality, what you're doing is you're throwing more gas that you use to cause that fire and drawdown. You're just tossing more gas on it. You're not giving yourself a chance to say, okay, I'm just going to find the safe exit and prevent myself from being consumed entirely. And then when the ashes settle, then I'll come back and I'll rebuild from there. And that is a very hard thing to do. When you're brand new, you think somebody like me or someone better than me or someone that claims to be better than whoever is the best, they're going to sell you something. Okay? They're going to sell you something with the idea that if you join my thing, if you pay for my thing, if you buy my thing, if you do what I tell you to do and worship me online, these things are going to make it easier for you to trade and you're going to have no problems. And it's going to be an everyday trading success story. And that is absolute bull crap. But it sells. It sells tickets. It sells memberships. It sells the idea of participation. And it builds team mentality. But is it building your bottom line and making your equity go up? Do you feel confident as a trader but not overconfident? Are you able to see the things in the price action that you should be seeing that continuously supports the ideas that you're trying to implement? If you're seeing them fail, it doesn't mean that the concepts are failing. It's just highlighting an area at which you're doing it incorrectly. And that takes personal responsibility and maturity. And 99% of these people that like to troll us or me specifically, they're literally indicating that they have zero responsibility and they have zero self-control. And they're trying to get a stimuli of feeling like they're victimizing someone else because they're living in victimhood. They're putting themselves through it. And if you're not careful, you'll go into this industry looking for a way to fix that same issue. And you think, if I start making money, if I start doing things correctly and other people see that I can do it, they will say positive things about me and that'll lift me up. That's the worst thing you can do. Because now you set yourself up to never have losses, to believe that losses are never possible or shouldn't happen, or it's weakness. And you're placing the control, the power of other people's words about you to provide the only means of supporting or building you up. That's your strength. That's your source of encouragement. Other people. That's why I facetiously say, can you encourage me today? The market's putting something on me. I'm being facetious because there's other people out there that think that didn't know what's going on. And yeah, I hear what you said. You did something, that you could have done differently, but that's not the end of the world. That's just one transaction. That's a series of transactions today. I didn't hear you say, F this crap. I'm done with this stuff. This one day made it clear to me that trading is something that is impossible and I have no business messing around with this stuff because no one can do it. I didn't hear that. I heard I got myself in something and I worked towards trying to get out of it. And you got yourself there. You didn't glad hand say, I'm so good at doing it. You recognized that it was a little bit of hardship there. And that's good. That's maturity. That's you observing and identifying that these are things that all of us are going to have to encounter. You're going to do something wrong. You're going to miss the trade. You're not going to have enough on, or you'll put too much on. And because that weight of that position size is going to have a whole lot more influence on what you think you can hold on to. And even if you know how to read price action, every little fluctuation against that position is going to make you second guess. What if this is the day the ICT stuff really fails? That question probably never jumped in your mind because you've been consistently making money. But now because you have the biggest position on you've ever had, these intrusive thoughts, these things that are most likely never going to happen, you start entertaining that. And the way you keep that from happening is you don't over leverage, you stick to a rule, You do impeccable risk management, and you constantly give yourself positive self-talk. If you build yourself up to be a online participant where other people can tell you the good or bad about yourself, and you're listening to that, and you latch on to people giving you positive criticism, you're doing it incorrectly, because what you're saying is your own words and your own observations about the efforts and the work that you're putting in this craft, and the observations that you're recording and logging, saying, I put this much time in today. This is what I studied on. And here's the thing you need to be doing. By positive self talk, it's while you're watching price action. And then when you're not watching price action, and you encourage yourself, you know what? This is what I did today that was strong. I didn't take stupid risk. I didn't over leverage anything. You know what I did that I learned? It was exciting today. I learned that this specific PD array literally supported the idea, and I don't even use it. And now I have one more step further in my understanding on how to read price action, and these PD arrays are going to support it. You're learning the custody from one PD array to the next. There's a chain of custody where price uses one specific PD array, one candlestick at a time, and it's continuously giving you feedback whether or not the idea you're expecting to draw on, where the price is going to go to, it's constantly giving you information. But if you're not looking at that, if you're not physically saying it out loud, talking to yourself, not internally, you need to hear yourself say it. Because thinking about it, your mind can jump to something else. But when you're talking about it, you're doing two things. You're thinking about it, then you're articulating it, and your brain sends it to your mouth and then your vocal cords, and you're speaking it. That's too many things going on for you to share your mind with something else while you're visually looking at the candlestick. So you're talking about it like you're teaching someone sitting next to you. This candlestick right here is behaving this way, and it's exactly what I want to see because this supports the underlying narrative that price is going to go to where I think it's going to go. And I have not seen anything yet that changes that underlying narrative. You got no chance to think about anything negative. You're constantly keeping your focus on the task. But if you're listening to music and you're online and you're live streaming, or you're talking about this person that's doing way better than you or not doing as well as you think they should do, you're not minding your own business. And it should be no surprise why you're failing or finding hardship. So when you're doing your streams, kid, I think that you should talk less about other things. And I came in one time and I heard you say, and permit me to say, because I'm saying it in love,
Okay. Yeah.
when you're saying like, I did this, and you're being real hard on yourself. And as soon as I showed up, I'm like, wow, don't do that.
Well,
Don't keep.
that was actually a day I took a loss on a live stream where I hadn't had as many losses on the live stream. So I was definitely critical of myself. And to your point, you're saying something else like clapping, kind of singing, um when I'm engaged within the market, like that inspiration, like I don't know if it's okay, but there's like a level of therapy in what you're saying as far as like self-talk, and I try and do that. But I also realize where and how, I mean, if I have or I'm conveying negative self-speech on a live stream, as I did when you came in, I also fully accept total accountability for doing that wholeheartedly. I can
I
do
just
better.
personally think, yeah, I think you can definitely do better. And if you look, if you want to celebrate because something panned out perfectly, once the trade's closed, guess what? It's over. The store is closed. You want to turn the lights down, invite the friends to have a free sample, and we're all going to hang out and drink at the bar. Great, wonderful. Okay, but you can't do that. Okay, it's not happy hour while we're in the trade. It's not happy hour when the markets are still trading. You have to close down shop, then be congratulatory or refer back to what you did and didn't do as good as you should have. And when you're going to stay on the stream and you're going to talk about what the market's going to do, you got to remember your audience. You remember when we had our meeting?
Yes,
You
sir.
got to remember your audience. Okay, the power in your words, they're going to latch on to whatever you say. And if you say something that's negative or it's self-defeating or it leads to those types of things, you're actually bringing your audience down, and that vibration is going to show up in a way where they're going to be less inclined to come back and listen to you. They need to feel like you're bringing them more strength, more focus, reminding them that, you know
Absolutely.
what, I was doing something over here. I never even thought about it. And then Kit said this the other day, and it resonated with me. You know what? That's real. That's why I tapped into Trader Roundup. That's why I tapped into your spaces, because I listened to them privately for a little while. You didn't know I was listening, but I'm listening to them. And a few of them were just, I mean, I was weeping because I'm listening to these people pour their hearts out, and they're I'm like, man, this is exactly what this industry needs. It needs, it's like AA, or,
Yeah, it's keeping it real,
yeah,
honestly.
it's not the sugar coated, join my stuff and you're going to make a lot of money and there's no hardships here. This is what it's like sometimes. And that's why we call it Fight Club. You're wrestling through things. Unless you go through it or you're putting yourself through it, you're not going to fully understand it. And then when you hear other people say, this is what I'm struggling with right now, and other people are coming forward and say, you know what, I'm going through that same thing too. Or I went through that and this is how I overcame it. That's encouragement. It's a reminder that you're not the exception that you thought you were going to be. And the same way, you're not the only one that's going through the bad stuff. Other people go through it too. Everybody that's made money, everybody that's consistently profitable had valleys. And those valleys were a whole lot longer, and they spent way too much time in it than they wanted to. But everything that made them strong and consistently profitable, they learned in the valley. You don't learn it on the mountaintops. That's where you get to shout the victory. In the valleys, that's where all the dark shadows, the things that you're afraid to step into darkness, you don't know what's going to hit you, you don't know what you're going to trip on. Once you walk through it a few times, then you can tell the people behind you, hey, I've been here before. Watch out for that. Watch out for this. I've been here before. And then you get to the mountaintops where the visibility is beautiful. The air is cleaner and crisper. There's no shadows on the top of the mountain. Everything's visible. Everybody can see that. Everybody can see your successes. But why is it nobody wants to talk about the valley? Nobody wants to talk about it. Like, nobody had that problem. You hear these people come, you see all these people that come out and they say they had a horror story, and as soon as they say that didn't happen to me, bullshit. That is the biggest bunch of bullshit. There has never fucking been somebody walked out here and fucking tap danced into the marketplace and never had hardship. When I hear that shit, and there's a motherfucking clown on the internet right now that says that that's exactly how he did it. Get out of my fucking face, you fucking liar. That's the kind of shit you got to steer away from. You got to move away from that stuff. Understand that you're going into war. You're warring with yourself at first. That's the boot camp. That's boot camp. And nobody wants to go to boot camp. But that's how you discover the trader, the warrior, the participant with your weapons. You get to learn how to use your weapons. And then you take those weapons into the arena, which is the market. And there's motherfuckers out there that know how to take your head straight, clean off at the shoulder in a second. And the first few times you step out there, you're going to get mugged. You're going to get stomped, curb stomped. And you got to realize when that happens, when you have a little bit of experience, you can't look at that and say, this is not for me, I can't do it. If you're going to be a trader, you got to realize you're going to take some shots. You're going to lose some money. You're going to pay your dues. You're going to do those things. And the traders that talk themselves through that, and they have a support structure around them, like what you have built with your community, that is helpful, but it needs to be cultivated. And the guy that's leading that, he has to be accountable to not only his audience, but himself, because the audience is paying attention to what you say and how you react and respond. And if they see you go through something strong that's in opposition and you manage it in the way we're discussing it here, that builds them up. They won't make poor decisions. And when they give you feedback and they say, you know what, you were such an encouragement to me because I was going through this and I didn't want to tell anybody I was embarrassed. I didn't want to say it because I was ashamed. I was afraid people were going to troll me online. And when you said that, I felt encouraged to be able to say, you know what, I'm going through that same thing. And I'm glad that I got to watch you talk about how you're going through it. And you didn't do all the things that I'm secretly doing. And I'm not seeing any way out of it. I'm keep doing the things over and over again, repeating the bad things, creating a habit that's toxic. And when they see you do these things, it builds your audience. The resonation that you get between the host and the audience listening to you that you're influencing, it builds a tighter bond. And they give you feedback, and that encourages you. That's a reward for you doing the right thing because you're being held accountable by your audience.
Should I bring more of the audience into the live stream?
Sure.
I can do that.
Did you receive that with love, though?
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
That's what I
sir.
thought.
I absolutely. I mean, I love what I do. I know I'm meant to do it, and I mean, I want to do it better, and that's very good feedback, and I definitely take it to heart.
Awesome.
So love that. Actually, it's great. I feel. I mean, today is a great example of taking an L and then being able. I mean, I like being able to show on the base one. You can really see where and how the breadth of a candle forms, the low time frame, and your executions of what you're looking to do. Like I made it very clear on the execution chart that I posted today that I mean I was working my way mitigating a loss. So it looks real nice and poetic, but it really wasn't. And I mean, I will also tweet and talk about trading on a device. I think there's something to that in the generation and the folks that we live in. I've executed a lot on an iPad Pro. I utilize an iPad to execute, and then I also enjoy executing on a phone. And I think there's a lot of folks that really intuitively like touching a screen when they execute, which is different than the traditional stationary person. And what I'm confident and comfortable in saying, I actually see the 1 minute candle better on my phone screen. Like I can see the breadth of a candle. Like I can zoom in and like really see what I'm looking for on a 1 minute, on a sub 1 minute, which is like the textbook what you teach us. So there's almost like a level of comfort there. And I just like communicating this because I know I'm not the only one within your audience of folks that really thrive in utilizing your concepts on a mobile device. And that's not the traditional like whatever hedge fund person that's typically engaging with the market. So I just think there's power in that and being able to exemplify that. And I know a lot of traders as well that execute your concepts on a phone, and it's not on a multi-screen, multi-device, multi-screen apparatus. It's typically in a very limited space, and they're able to make some pretty good decisions. So I just like bringing that up, Michael, to you as well. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, if you have any, but
I'm I'm aware that some people, like I have students that are somehow able to have cell phones in prison, and they listen to my stuff in their cell with a cell phone that they're not supposed to have it, and they have actually reached out to me, and they're like, "Dude, I'm watching and I'm studying your stuff, and I'm about to get out in like 6 months or a year. I got left another 12 more months and I'm out. When I get out, I can't wait to start doing this stuff." When I hear people say that they're trading on their phone, that's the first thing that jumps in my mind. Um,
I mean, I
but
love that though. I just think like like there's two things in the world that we live in today that you have created when you came to Spaces and you came to X that I was able to carry that you brought, and that's this radio format, this voice in Spaces that you've created. You created that in 2022. You brought that to X. You brought that. That was all you. And you look at the time frame and everything and how you waned from doing it simply by yourself to where we kind of were a reverberation of that, just the community coming together based on the vibration that you resonated in all of those very impactful spaces. My point being, and we've heard and you've heard traders that haven't been as tied to the YouTube channel at first. They've listened to these radio style, podcast style, mentorship quality conversations, and they've really resonated with the values and the messaging that we've been able to convey. And I say we because this is something I've done consistently in trying to follow your assignment and what you brought to Spaces. So again, like this for folks who are new, like this is a reverberation from 2022 that came from Michael with Spaces, and this is a continuation of that, and the coalescence of folks that have been learning core content in 22 and 23 and 24 and 25 and 26 and 26. This has been a very much a concert and a dance together in which there's a lot of information for the student to find, and Trader Roundup is now this format in which if you're a busy professional maybe you don't have a lot of time in front of a screen, but you can be studying this stuff from your mobile device. You can be listening to this stuff on your phone. You could go to a website. You can listen to these conversations with Michael one on one, where he answers questions. Today, he's answering my questions, guys. It's really cool. Like getting these conversations are very valuable and topical with what we deal with in the market. The market's not easy. Volatility is crazy. I got waxed trying to go long off the fucking open, and it was not pretty because it was fast, and I was not
Hmm.
on the right side, and it had to work my way out of a drawdown, and how to do that, and to patiently wait, and to find where and how to engage in the market, and try and have faith and trust in what order blocks are, and what the breath of a candle is, and what OHLC is, and what these concepts are, and how they work modelistically, and where and how you can apply the schematic with your own logic, and then kind of tap into your intuition. The better of a trader that you get, and I believe, Michael, you really, folks don't realize that, like, part of being a good trader is tapping into your own intuition. And the more you can feed your ego, or you can feed your intuition, and they're not typically one and the same. They're kind of polar opposites. And I think you've done a great job, Michael, in communicating with your community where and how to try to tap into your own intuition, and this self-talk that you're talking about today, and that you've talked about within the classes of late. I think that's so important for a trader to really tap into, you know?
It's required. Like it's not something that I don't think sustainability and continuously profitable traders can get there and stay there without it.
I agree. I mean, I think inspirational music. I think there's a level, like, I use Om, I hum, I pray. When you're in a position and you have conviction, and you believe in the trade, you put the stop loss where it needs to go, and you just let it do its thing, and you try to detach from what emotions kind of percolate. And I believe all of us have that. Like, all of us do. There's no time ever when that's not present. And some people think that you somehow arrive magically at profitability land, and that once you're in profitability land, the skies are blue forever and you never have these issues.
Consistently profitable is a mile marker. It's not a destination. You're constantly moving forward. And sometimes you're going to be forced off that pathway you think is the only way there is to continue staying that way. And you have to take a detour. And sometimes it's going in a U turn, going back to go forward again. And that's you just simply navigating the uncertainty of what's ahead. Drawdown, losses, going on tilt. You know, if you have a model and you have an approach to following that model, and you understand how to read price action, and unfortunately you let greed or fear or just the wild markets in one day completely overcome you, and you just go on tilt and you blow out. If you don't have a model, it's next to impossible for you to want to come back ever again. You'll want to do it, but that hurt and that fear of losing more will prevent you from ever really doing it. The people that have a small little understanding about what they should have done, they're the ones that go back and do it again. The people that learn their lesson trying to over leverage, trying to overtrade because they think they have it and they're going to make these big payouts real quick. They have a model, but they just do things stupid with it. When they blow and tilt out, it's easy for them to re up and restart again because they know what they did was silly, but they're just trying to find out if they can just get that lottery win on something that's consistently profitable if they just stay in its parameters. They don't have any reservations about it. They won't even beat themselves up about being on tilt. And I think that's really what these highest paid out traders are. They blow counts all the time. They blow them all the time. They do a stellar fashion of blowing out lots of accounts. They don't mind it so much, and they don't care what the people's public opinion of it is because they know what they're doing with their own skill sets. They're just trying to push it beyond the scope of what they should do and hoping that opportunity and their willingness to participate with over leveraging meets together and they get a big payout. So they're playing the lottery with something that gives them a small edge, but they keep pushing it harder and harder and harder because they know eventually they might get a big payout. I want to see people in my fold that consistently go in and they take measured approaches that allows them to get these wins that isn't over the top. If you take, let me say it this way. Here's a wonderful way of saying it. If you take your five highest payouts or your five highest winning trades, take them out of the past month's trading, what's your numbers look like? If you can't pay the bills, if you're not getting grocery money at least out of that, then your your model is usually leaning towards lottery like trading. There should be consistency there. It doesn't mean you have to be profitable every single day, but it means that your wins versus your losses should be measured. It doesn't mean if you have losses a couple times a week or a couple times a month or a net loss week that that's a bad thing. You're going to encounter that. There's no way around it. If you're going to stay in this business and you're striving to be consistently profitable and you want to operate in a professional manner where you're treating it like a business, restaurants sometimes have a whole bunch of people come in, dine and dash. They lost money that night. They come in, they start fights, and tear the place up. They didn't foresee that coming, but they took a loss. Are they going to close up the business? Say that's it. We're never operating it again because this is what happened that one time. No, and that's how you have to conduct yourself. Sure, you're going to take a loss, and you should expect that you're going to have losses. But you don't go in fearing that you're going to have a loss, and it overcomes you such a degree that you talk yourself out of following your model, and you're so worrisome about what is this going to do to me if I take a loss. The sheer fact that you're even entertaining that question tells you you're not ready to be trading with real money. You haven't learned your model. You haven't conditioned yourself to trade in the state of indifference. Indifference is, I don't care what the outcome is going to be. The model says this, my experience says this, and everything that's happening in price action is supporting the idea, so therefore I'm going to go forward with it. It's just a transaction. I don't need the money at the end of this trade. That right there is success in a complete sentence. All things I just said, that's the mode of which consistently profitable trading is acquired, and you stay in that lane. If you're worried about the outcome of money, if you want the big payout, you're going to look into the market and see things that you want to see. You're going to project these things in price action. You're going to project it because you want to convince yourself, stay with this. It's going to be a big payout. It's going to be a big payout. And when you share it online, everybody's going to say this is the greatest thing in the world, and you're the BSD for today. And when you don't care about having the big payout, you're just trading the model with reasonable leverage where it's not going to cause you any kind of anxiety. And these types of trades yield at least what you earn in a year in your income on a week by week basis, or slightly more. And you graduate over time by applying these things and these perspectives while you're doing what it is you're doing to be better at trading, to stick to your model, to stick to your procedures and protocols, managing risk impeccably, not fearing missing moves, reminding yourself every day, what did I do good today? What did I learn today? What was exciting? What was I pleasantly surprised about today? Contrast that with what you're going to do later on today, or what you would have done and what you've been doing every Friday. Man, I really screwed up. I should have never traded that day. I should have never went back in. I took a small loss. I could have stopped right there, but no, I had to go do something stupid and go and trade somebody, and I blew the account. That's exactly what you do, and that's toxic. So every day, even if you have a bad day, you got to go back and think, what was I surprised by today? What was I pleasantly surprised with my ability to stop, not do something painful, stay in the rules, something I expected to see happen in price, and it happened. Even if it's simply looking at a fair value gap. And now, because I'm teaching you the high probability levels and how to determine what that is, and it happened just like you learned it would act like. That's encouragement. And if you constantly, every single day of your life, you should always do that. Not just in trading, everything. Before you lay your head down tonight, and every day you lay your head down, tell yourself, what did I learn today? What was a positive moment in my day? What was a pleasant surprise? And it made me smile. And I'm able to smile about it right now because I didn't expect it to happen. And I'm thankful that it did. What did I encourage someone else with? What was I encouraged by someone else that I know or love? And what am I going to try to do tomorrow to make things better than I am right now? You can't think toxic if you do those things. If you live your life like that, you're programming yourself to think on a wavelength that it does not permit toxicity in. You're a higher vibration. You're staying outside of that cortisol inducing mindset. And you wonder why you don't feel good. You don't feel like you're focused because you're given all this time and energy to toxic things and people. And if you're around that type of stuff, it's going to cause you to think like that. And if you're thinking toxic, well, you're going to be toxic. And if you look for the positive in everything, you speak the positive with your mouth, you only let it in your mind and your ear when it's positive, and you cancel out and prevent anyone having toxicity, you're giving yourself every advantage that you possibly can to grow. And hang on one second, I'm getting a text. All right, she ain't gonna be home until like 3:30, so you get extra. What is that? 30 minutes or so?
Noise. Noise.
Kind of broke my attention, but anyway, I said enough. Let's move on with this.
Yeah. We got Gordo here. We got Pippi here. We got a few folks. We got the speaker tag too. So we're just going to open up the floor. We'll go with Gordo first and then Pippi. Gordo, welcome to Trader Roundup, brother.
Hey, good afternoon, kid. Good afternoon, Michael. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Pit Munch. I hope everybody's doing well today. It's great to listen to you, kid. How you mentioned you had to get yourself out of drawdown today. It takes me back to the 2023 when Michael was teaching those lessons, right? Like, how to get yourself out of those drawdowns after finding yourself in a bad situation. Um, haven't we all been in that situation, right? Like we put ourselves as traders, we have put ourselves in those situations countless times. Um, so that's just part of the journey, in my opinion. But I just want to share something. I don't know, if Michael want to chime in. Um, it was a pretty clear two standard deviation move to the upside after the delivery on Thursday's delivery to the downside on the markets. What I noticed was that they were holding price during Asia. Well, they were pushing it up during Asia, and they held price during London late. So I was anticipating a move to clear out the two standard deviation at the open. So what they did was they pulled the market right before the open down, and it hit my zero point zero 0.05 standard deviation on a sell model to the downside, which is why I asked Michael earlier. I don't know if you got to see it. Did you ignore that zero point 0.5 on the sell model? Because I had seen that you mentioned you were anticipating price to go down to 400, close to that RTH gap. Um, so I would like to know if that was something that you were aware of during the market
What were
open.
you keying off of to create the two standards up and the half standard down, brother?
All right. Well, on the market maker buy model, I was to the upside. I was keying off the the lows from Wednesday, 6 p.m. Asia's open, to the high Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Right. So that gave me my two standard deviation to the upside, to the move up. And then on the sell model, right, um, I had my measurement from 5 a.m., right, 5 a.m. This morning to 5:45. No, not 5:45, to 6 a.m. right? So that gave me my standard deviation for the sell model, anticipating that we were going to touch the two standard deviation. So what they did was they brought it down to the zero point 0.5, which Michael mentioned plenty of times, a couple of times. You usually going to see bounce in the opposite direction. And something that I have noticed is that, and I'm going to share it with everybody, is that usually when you get a zero point 0.5 deviation return into that price, might the price come back and clears where you anchored from. So after you anchored from your left, right, the high price from 5 a.m., price usually clears that price and sells off. And it just happened to coincide with my two standard deviation measurement from Thursday. So it was a perfect execution day. I had a phenomenal day today. One of my best day in trading.
And you
One
you
of the
you were executing, and so then you were executing a protraction model based on the schematics that Michael teaches in month 8.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no,
Everything is
that's
Michael.
cool, and you're
With
providing
it.
specific anchor times in which you were
Yes.
creating the protraction model. So I think that's what he's trying to comment on, Michael, is just trading one of your schematics as textbook as he is.
I actually got notification from YouTube that the rendering for what I just did this morning and all the follow up. You're asking, was I paying attention to this, that, and all that stuff? I actually go through everything, how I pinpointed the high, the procedure I use, and the dealing range. If you remember last time we were here, I said that the 2 hour window between 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning, that pre market time, that can be your entire canvas upon which you do all your business, your trading, and you don't even have to be a participant in regular trading hours. Like that's an everyday universe of opportunity. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to walk out there every day and make money, but that small little 2 hour window is a huge advantage because you can make your entire career inside those 2 hours, or you can use that information to determine where the session high and low is going to be. And if the session high in the morning, where the session low is going to be the low of the day or high of the day, then you can position yourself with a swing trading idea or a short term trading idea or the full day position, which is intraday swing, where you're trying to get the low of the day to the high of the day when you're bullish, or get the high of the day to the low of the day when you're bearish. Um, it was really simple what I did this morning, even though it probably didn't look simple because of the execution and all that business. But it really wasn't a whole lot of moving parts to it. I go through a very short list of things and I walk you through it. And don't go watch the video yet. Okay, I know some of you are going to stop listening and you're going to go watch the video because I'm going to hit the link and send it out now. But everything I talk about in there is very simplistic things and things I've already talked about in the past on very specific standard deviations where I'm measuring a range, or if I measure the opening range gap, how far beyond that gap, if it goes outside of spec, how far can we reasonably expect it to go? And for instance, like what we had today, where we open, and yesterday, where we open and we're at the height of the gap. So we're way above where we settled in regular trading hours the previous session. And then we open high, and then it starts running, so it's gap and go. How far can it go? Like, how far can it go when it's doing those types of things? And I illustrate today where I was only off by a little bit in terms of what I thought the high was. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think I'm off like 2.5 handles for the high, and that's the very specific measurement I was looking for. And the process of using these projections, there's no absolute it's going to do this because this measurement's been applied. You have to anchor it to a PD array. If the PD array doesn't agree with these projections, then the projection is nothing but fluff. You validate these projections because of a PD array within the context of a correct read on what price should or should not do. If it's bullish, how is it bullish from where it is to where it should go? Where's the draw on liquidity? What happens when it gets to that point of liquidity? Do you expect it to consolidate or reverse, or do you expect it to potentially keep going higher? But this is just your terminus on the trade. There's all these if then. And by spending time with those 2 hours of 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock Eastern time, it gives you feedback. It tells you the tone of the marketplace. It tells you how fast or slow price should behave when we're in regular trading hours. It tells you what levels are most likely going to be attacked for the purpose of purging liquidity. And not enough work is being done that I can see. And I may be wrong. It may be simply because they're just not sharing it where I can see it. But I don't think there's enough work being done in the student base that I'm confident that if they spend time with that, they will see an explosion in their development, their their confidence, the convictions behind the trades they take after 9:30 opening. And it's very volatile right now. And without having some clear idea of where the price should go and where these reactionary price points should become, no, it's going to go here to go the other direction, or it's going to go down there to go the other direction. That's a skill set that isn't easily acquired. We can see something that's forming, and then it starts to give a confirmation. It starts to move in our favor. Like, okay, now I'm confident that it's going to go higher, so I'll take the next PDA rate to support the idea that I think it's going to go up from here, or go lower. That's usually where the natural progression of learning this stuff conceptually, and then now you're in there trying to push a button. That's where most of my students start. And you may end up becoming a career trader just with that idea. But knowing that the market's going to rush to a specific price point and you're not participating in that run to it because your focus is entirely on once it gets there, I'm all over it like white on rice. I'm going to just, it's it. It's all I care about. And I want to get to that price point in a specific manner, fast. And a fast run up, like we saw this morning, is usually indicative of it's a Judah swing. It's a straight Judah swing, especially if it's gap and go. It's opening at the high of the gap from regular trading hours. And there's several things it's leading to. If it runs quick up to a very specific price level, once it gets there, then it should act rather sharply the other direction. And I demonstrated that today. So I didn't have a whole lot of the input that you're outlining and based on the question. I saw you post it, but I didn't respond to it because I was trying to get everything sorted because I can have a conversation here. But you'll see exactly what it is that I did now that it's being posted. And you should have the link on X now.
Nice.
Anyway,
Nice. Yeah.
I'd like to hear what people feel after seeing this week. Like we kind of pegged last week
Yeah.
during Sunday before the opening. We saw a lot of huge runs and some really nice opportunities and executions on just a wonderful beast of a week of trading. Like it was,
Unbelievable.
man, it was awesome.
Yeah, it
It was
really
awesome to
was.
see it trade like this.
I almost did a space as soon as you posted what your executions. I was so flabbergasted. Really, 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 honest to God, I was like, what? And like, just, I know I'm not the only one. Like, it's like, oh my gosh. So
Yep.
I'm just saying, like, that is absolutely gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. I love how you put I should have signed it because you should have, because that motherfucker's art. And it clearly demonstrates again this is what I love as a community because you are the man, but there is your knowledge base, which then inherently becomes your community. So more folks that assimilate your knowledge base then can take on the characteristics of who and what you are and what you do. And that is exemplified and shown within the community in fill in the blank flavor of person and nationality and age and life experience. And each and every person within Trader Roundup is that supportive voice, Michael. And that is what you have created. That comes from the nascent days of your spaces in 2022 when you brought so much to the public. This is that reverberation. Like, I want you in this conversation and what we're talking about today at Trader Roundup I really want that to resonate with the audience because it's what it is. So, yeah,
In short, okay,
yeah, yes.
I'm going to ask this question, and it's not for you or anybody else. to fluff me up. I don't need it
No,
personally.
no, I
But
get it. I
I,
get it. I get it. I get it. But it's nice to have the community, bro, that
no, no, no.
believes in the shit that we're
I want
doing,
to
you
ask the
know?
question. I want to ask because I didn't ask the question yet. But what I'm wanting to state beforehand is if anybody's going to respond to it, I don't want to have worship from it. I don't want it to be about me. I want you to understand that the question is directed to the concepts, the procedures, the principles, the very details that I've been given just in the last 2 years.
The
Okay,
knowledge
just think
base,
about
right? The knowledge base. We
yeah,
can refer to it as that. Is that fair? Is that okay? I mean,
yeah,
alrighty.
and the testimony which I brought forward in the public's forum. Okay, we can see it happening. This is what I think the market's going to do, and this is what I'm using to come to that conclusion. And watching it come to pass to such a degree. If I would have told everyone, okay, back in 2009 when I stepped out on the baby pips, okay, I was sitting there watching these people. None of them knew what was going on. If I could have came out there then and said, "Hey, would you believe if someone came out there and said that they could trade the daily high and the low and know with a scientific principle and protocol that they're following every single day, and they could do this with consistency and know beforehand, would it be believed?" And they would have laughed me out and they said, "No way, no way, no way." But I drug everybody, and there's a lot of people still follow me from baby pips. A lot of those talkers back then are quiet because they're seeing things that I would have done a whole lot sooner. Like I was expecting people to be much more engaged because of the things I was teaching. I was like, this is a laboratory experiment for me. I want to see if I can cultivate the outcome of me going through everything in the order I learned it. If I put it out there, this is the order in which I discovered things. The Lord said, look here, look there. And I studied and studied and studied. Can I create another one of me? Not because I want to do it, but I want to see if it was just coincidence that it just happened for me. Or can I create freaks that literally can go out there and do some crazy stuff? And I have students that can trade really, really precise now. And now we're into these really nice topics. And this is still less than 20% of what's available. Today is just still beneath 20% of what's available. But to get to those very, very precise things, freaky level stuff, the things that people would laugh and they say, look at this, man. Everybody's screaming online because of a screenshot with market replay. Motherfucker, that was not market replay. That was not market replay no more than it was market replay today. I get it. It's too damn good. I get it. And believe me, it takes a lot of effort for me not to come out here and piss in everybody else's cornflakes because they're stupid. Because they're stupid. They don't even recognize it when I'm proving it and showing it to them, telling them in advance, this is what's going to happen. We sat here, did we not, Kit, last week, and the same gentleman that just stopped talking was asking me about the gaps and how do you measure this and where the stop should be. And I used that very moment right then and there. This is what the week's going to do. It's going to open straight up into that lower volume and bounce and sell off. And did it not just do that this week? Yes.
Beautifully.
Yes. That's simple. But when I'm teaching, I have to go on a little bit and give you things to anchor to because there's a lot of information. And I could not have had the attention span of everybody on baby pips at the time in 2009, moving into 2010. They would have not had the bandwidth to receive the things I'm talking about now because I'm talking in a language no one else knows. So I had to create these things over time so that way I can articulate the things that I understand because I am Enigma. Enigma is not something apart from me, it's me. And by me sharing the things that I use to make the decisions, the logic upon which I lean on, that to me is what I want to hear people respond to. It's not about me. So take me out of that. It's not me. I want you to speak on the matter of the level of precision, the measure of consistency Do these concepts deliver beyond what you thought you were learning when you first got involved with it? That's what I want to see, because when I when I give like a lecture last night, okay, like I when I got done that, I was nervous because those are the types of lessons that I felt like I'm not supposed to teach. I never would have went out there in baby pips and gave that lecture. Never would have done it. I never would have taught inversion fair value gaps. I never would have taught where to know inside those fair value gaps how it was going to perform and function using algorithmic timing. I never would have taught that because I was selfish. I wanted to keep it to myself. I was making shit tons of fucking money that none of you people could even fathom. And I was being greedy with it. And it was being wrestled out of my hands because my flesh said, none of these people deserve it. They didn't go through what you went through. So when I talk to you and I share things, I do get offended when you don't really appreciate what it is that you're receiving. Like, this is shit that people in Wall Street don't know anything a fucking about. They don't know shit out there on that floor. They don't know nothing. They're all reacting. They're all hoping. Look at their fucking faces when they're on TV. They look like they know what they're doing. When it's a bad day, it's a day. You can tell these motherfuckers going home broke. They lost their ass that day. Man, it was a terrible day. Oh, it's crazy. And here we are, bunch of fucking married men, hanging out, chilling, just casually fucking going in here and knocking down big ass ranges, going in at precise levels that people are like, this is too damn good to be true. Oh, it's a market replay. Come on, man. Like, I would be buzzing. I would be fucking walking on sunshine every single day that this shit was being made available to me. And I wouldn't be worshiping the person giving it. I'd be just thankful that I'm in there. I'm getting the splash over. I don't want you propping me up, but I want you to recognize that this shit is alien tech. It's literally light years ahead of everything else. Like, we're so far beyond the lame excuse, oh, this guy just rebrands something. It's now 10 fucking million dollars. 10 million fucking US dollars. Find my shit I gave last night anywhere. It ain't out there. It ain't out there. But put it on your fucking calendar because that's where it entered the internet. You got it from daddy right here. You know what? I woke up and I was looking, I went right to my email. I was like, people are going to be hopped up on fucking goofballs because they're going to go in their charts, they're going to see that shit and be like, man, it's just like that. Exactly. Exactly. You know, I didn't get one fucking email that said anything about that video last night. Now, I got some people in the comments that are saying, yeah, that's really cool. But usually I'll get like charter members from all the different groups that came in. And they're like, you know what? That shit was wild. Not one of them did that. And to be honest with you, when I see a lack of enthusiasm, when I give something that fucking perfect, you look at that fucking screenshot and you think that that's some fucking tomfoolery. That is what I taught last night. That is staying away from social media and just focusing. Knowing what to look for, staying in your fucking lane, and dominating. Fucking dominating. And you're out here talking about, but your Robbins Cup. Motherfucker, that was Robbins Cup in one fucking day. And I wasn't going to do anything today. I really wasn't going to do anything today. But my son said, I saw a comment. I saw a comment, and they said that you did market replay. Oh, you did? Let me read that comment. Oh, sure as shit. There it is. Inspiration. And you wonder why the nails get the hammer. When people talk shit, that motivates me because I want to drag their nose in it. I want to rub their fucking nose in it. So what did I do today? I woke up, told my sons, listen, you never, you never let these broke pieces of fucking shit ever, ever make you feel like you're not part of a fucking pedigree. You are part of something that they'll never fucking reach. They will never get to where you're going. Never. You keep doing what I'm telling you to do, you will be better than me. I'm going to prove it today. Watch. You sit your fucking ass down here and you watch what I do today. I did something again. I laid it out there. I fucking baited them. Here's your sell side. Knowing they're going to protract that bitch right up in the fucking end dog from last Friday. I'm sitting there and I'm waiting. And that motherfucker went right into my crosshairs and kabang, baby. All the way down where they were laughing and they've already deleted their fucking tweets. They already deleted them, talking their bullshit. But here's the man using the shit that you get gifted. You get gifted this stuff. I had to work my ass off to get this shit worked out. I had to fucking wait through periods where there was no encouragement. You get the luxury of sitting here and listening to other fucking people, not just me, going through the fucking pain, going through the fucking struggle. And if the cussing is offending you, I don't give a shit. The point is, you all take this shit for granted, like you're somehow fucking owed it. You owe me. I subscribe to your fucking profile. I subscribe to your fucking channel. I put some hearts on the things you post. That don't mean shit. I want you to work. I want you to do the shit that's required so you can do it yourself. I don't need you to tell me I'm good at this. I don't need that. My whole fucking premise of being here, I'm talking to you for fucking free. And some of you just don't fucking get it. You think that this is, this is how it should be all the time. I don't owe any of you anything. And honestly, I gotta be honest, man. I kind of felt like I was kicked in the dick this morning. Because if that was shown to me when I was coming up, I'd be like, what in the world? There it is. Like, there it fucking is. That's it. That's the fucking source code. You have it in your fucking hands right now. And nobody even recognizes it. Come on. You don't even fucking recognize it. Not one fucking person out of the 2.5 million people that follow me, not one of them said, that is it. That's it. That's it right there. I pulled everything together last night. I could have gave you that same lecture on baby pips in 2009, and it would have been ignored. They would have said, this is bullshit. It's all complication. And that's their excuse. But for years, 15 to 16 years, I have dragged your asses across the coals, proving that you must put this shit to work in your own hands. It's not enough that I can do it. It's not enough that my kids are going to be able to do this. What's that benefiting you? Nothing. It means nothing that somebody else can do it. But until you believe in it and see that it happens in your own charts, you're never going to pursue it. You're never going to overtake it and make it yours. This is my life's work. It's not rebranded anything. And when I gift it to people and they don't put the time into it, you know what it feels like? My flesh was right and I should have never given it to you. I should have never given it to you. I shouldn't have done those things. That's what my flesh tells me. And I got to wrestle with that shit because it pisses me off. It gets on my nerves. Because I give this to you because I want you to walk the same way I walk every day. Get up and know that I don't give a fuck what gas costs. I don't give a flying fuck what they charge for ground beef. I don't care what these groceries cost. I don't care. They could 3 times my fucking electric bill. I could be paying $3,000 a month just for electric, and I don't give a fuck. I don't personally give a fuck. My mind does not think, oh shit, things are more expensive. I feel that for all of you that are coming up through this stuff, and you got to overcome all of it. But I don't live my life like that. And that confidence, that comfort comes by way of knowing that whatever horse shit they bring out there, as long as the markets are available, I'm ahead of everything else. That's not confidence, that's comfort. That's a surety. That's not overconfidence, that's not arrogance. That's comfort. I'm comforted knowing that I have something that 99.9% of the people out there have no idea that even exists. And I prove it to you in advance. This is what it's going to do. It happens. Some of you, you need me to do Robin's Cup. You want me to do these things in front of you only because you want to copy it. And when you copy it, the money you make and then you can spend, that's the validation for you. I don't want a student like you. Because if you can't recognize what I've put down last night and what I showcased today, this is a bonus fuck you for the people that doubt. You don't deserve to learn from me. You don't need to be here anymore. Think of me as an asshole, a dick, narcissistic prick, and don't ever come back and listen to me again. That's what you should do. Because if you can't recognize greatness, not me, that's not the greatness I'm talking about. If you can't recognize perfection, there's nothing I'm going to teach beyond this that's going to help you. So many of my charter members have asked, can you just put it down in a way where it's understandable? Yeah, I can. I can do that. But I need you to spend a little bit of time with me because I want you to see it's not just me getting lucky once in a while. I need you to spend time with me. Walk with me. Walk a mile or two each day for a year or two. If you can't do that, then you're not worthy. Because you want instant success. And instant success is not taught. That's lottery experience. I don't teach lottery winning. I don't teach lottery trading. I teach you how to look at something and expect it to behave a certain way over and over and over again. And if it doesn't do certain things that you're expecting, you can recognize that too. And you course adjust. Cause a course correction. Okay, I thought this was going to happen. I'm wrong. That doesn't mean the things are wrong. Doesn't mean they're changing the algorithm. Doesn't mean we're the new retail. You tell me, any retail trader that can do what you just watched me do this week. I don't give a fuck who they are. I don't give a fuck who they are. They can't do that. They can't do that. And I've been able to do this shit for 28 fucking years consistently. Think about that. There's some things I had to tinker with and move around and mess with this and mess with that. But I was refined on the 6th year. And you bitches are complaining to me in emails and posts talking to me about, I've been doing this for a year and I can't fucking find consistency. Who the fuck do you think you are? I watch your videos and it don't work. How long you been doing it? 6 months? Get the fuck out of here. Can you show me what playlist, because I don't have time to watch all those videos, get the immediate block. Tell me that you're going to waste my time in the shortest opportunity of doing so. And that's what that is for me. Think about this, folks. Be honest, okay? Let's switch seats for a moment. You have this skill set and you have this knowledge and you have a way of completely transforming the lives of everybody else. And you're not asking for shit for it. Just a little bit of appreciation and a real heartfelt effort in trying to learn it. No complaining. You're showing up every day. You're not worshiping. They're not worshiping you. You don't want that. But you want them to appreciate the gift of this information that could sell for whatever the fuck I ask for. I'm going to tell you something. I have already been reached out to by 16 different fucking firms, and they want me to go in there, and they've offered me several $1 million just to spend a month with them. What the fuck's that tell you? What do you think they're going to be emailing me tonight? What they watch me just fucking do today? And you listen to these fucking jealous pieces of shit on the internet, and you care more about the negative stuff than you recognizing and witnessing the very things I tell you what's going to happen before it happens. There's a disconnect there. That's why I talk to the trolls. That's why I give them the time, because I'm showing you there's no fear, there's no weakness. None of them can come even close to me, ever. And they're words. But those words have an impact on all of you as students. Would you fucking be able to sit back and say, you know what, I'm going to continuously keep giving to this community when there's no real identification by the part of the community by which what you shared, this was like, this is it. You asked for this, and I gave it to you in one fucking video. That's all you got to do. Think like that, frame it like this in time, in price. Every PD array speaks to you perfectly, flawlessly. Because if there's an algorithm, it's going to do just like that. Because the source code, if you're a programmer, the source code that that program runs on, the code is not changing. It's going through the same process, the same script, and it's the only thing it's going to change is the parameters, the arrays that it pulls the information from. Hours worked, employee numbers, inventory numbers. Those things will change. They're variables. But the constant logic and the source code in which the crunching of the data, that's always the same. Just like it's the same thing every day. What's different? The date, the time, and the price. What's changing? The things that would naturally change. Time-based things. Price isn't going to stay the same price all the time. But would you, if we had our roles switched, would you spend this much time with your personal life when there's no guarantee that I'm going to see 54 in a couple weeks? Would you pour this much emphasis and effort and passion in trying to build strangers up on the internet? Would you keep pouring into people like you've seen me do since 2009, publicly? Sure, you can say, oh, yeah, you made lots of money from the mentorship. Fuck that money. What am I doing right now? 2022, 2023, 4, 5, 6. Free. All free. I'm in the twilight of my life. Yeah, sure, my sons and they're getting a chance to see this stuff too. But I'm giving back to a community that's given me nothing. It's given me nothing but grief. It's given me nothing but regret. I've wasted so much time. Instead of spending it with my family, I've made lectures. I've sat on Saturdays when my family's outside. I'm watching them have cookout. I'm looking through my friends' doors and they're out there swimming around. They're doing whatever the fuck they're doing. And where am I at? I'm talking to you on a Twitter space. And then when I give you my best and it isn't even recognized, that just does a certain thing to me. And I got to be honest with you. It just makes me feel like I could stop right here and it's plenty. I don't need to do anything new. I could just talk about what's already been shown and more millionaires will be made. People are going to try to find a way to simplify. They're not going to be able to simplify it. It's got to be what you saw last night. And because it's not something you easily learn how to do right away, the 20-year-old mentorship class of teachers out there, they're just going to try to do their best to try to work with it for a little while and hope it clicks for them. But if they haven't done the things I told you them to do, which is in mentorship, you got to do this, do this, do this, do this. You're going to practice one kick for 10,000 times. And that's showing up every day reading price action. That's your baseline. That's the thing that you have to do. No one escapes that. But if you don't recognize what the fuck is going on now, who I am, and what I can do, you'll never get it. And because I can do it, it doesn't obligate me to jump through fucking hoops for fucking nobodies just so they can say, I got him to do it. I got him to do this. I got to do it. I mean, how about you do something I can do? And you're all worried about all the wrong things. How long would you spend doing what I'm doing for nothing? For nothing. You wouldn't. There wouldn't be none of you doing it. You'd be making all the money you want, living your life, globetrotting, doing whatever. But I have been burdened with this because I promised I would. And I'm being honest with you. I don't feel encouraged to do more. Like, I don't feel encouraged to do more. Like, I could sit out here every single day and do what you just watched me do every single week, just like that. It doesn't matter that it was a huge week. It could be a small week. I could do the same thing. I'm not allowed, let's say it this way, I am not allowed to live like you would if you could do what I'm doing. And I'll say it in a different way so you can understand it. I get to live vicariously through all of you because I'm not allowed. And that's not going to make sense to any of you. Later on, it will. But my flesh, the man, the person that I have to live with, it hurts to know that you can't even recognize all the time I've been with you, all this time, sharing and proving and teaching and proving and students doing it and running with it. And then when I finally give it to you, you can't even recognize it. And for the life of me, I'm trying to figure out, why is that possible? How is that possible? How can you not see what last night's lecture was? Like, that's literally me pulling the veil back and saying, here you go. You've seen enough. You've seen enough. It's not luck. It's there all the time. And what do I read? Why can't you do this in gold? It doesn't work here, doesn't it? Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I'm so sick and tired of people. They want me to do this and do that for them in gold. This shit works every fucking where. Why are you only talking about NASDAQ? It only works there? No. It's just I'm keeping your focus all on one market because I'm so tired of answering have it your way mentorship. I try to be as nice and accommodating as I possibly can to as many people that come to me. But literally, I feel like fucking Moses. Like, come on, man. Like, there's got to be a buffer. That's why I love having you help me do this, Kit, because I can't manage everything. In my mind, it's like there's people trying to ask questions, and they're like, fuck this. I tried it. I tried it 2 times, and I can't do it. I can't do it. Like, it's too many things to worry about and people connection, and fuck that. Somebody wants to come up, they want to ask a question. Sure, great. You're handling it. Your air traffic control. Sometimes you're a little too strong-handed, but that's okay.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't.
I can't. There's limitations to me, and as a community, I take a lot of comfort in knowing that there's certain individuals in our community that I can rely on in that regard, and there's other people that I know that all I got to do is say, hey, look at this person, what they're doing, and they're doing it the right way. They're staying in their lane. They're not trying to be braggadocious. They're making lots of money. They're bringing the receipts. They're doing this. They're doing that, and they never speak ill. They never say, Michael should do this and Michael should do that. How about saying, you know what? The man has the right to do whatever the fuck he wants to do. And the fact that he gave what he gave, I'm appreciative of that. And who can say anything bad about that? And I just don't think, and maybe I'm just premature. Maybe,
Can I say this, Michael? I'd love to add, just because within my folks are asking, they're like, well, what about when XYZ and this? And I'm like, you've never made a mistake. You don't have a past. You don't have a life. You're here to judge. So, I mean, I just want folks to personally within the community and from the DMs and everything else that I've listened to is like, I try and refrain from judgment within my own humility because I understand if folks wanted to throw stones at me, they could find stones and they could throw them very easily. And I believe anyone who is quick to judge is not really acknowledging that piece. And when you do it as publicly as you do, as loud as you do, for as long as you do, if someone wants to find a reason to dislike you, they're going to be able to find that easily. And anyone who wants to grab hold of that or question that is going to have that luxury. But in all honesty, in reconciling life and where we're at, you are as good as your last trade, my friend. You're only as good as how you interpret the market conditions right now. And what you're doing right now is absolutely crushing it, and you're showing it real time through your concepts with how you're doing it each and every day. You're engaging with your community real time in a way in which you've never done before, and it's affording the community an opportunity to really have access to you. So when folks do come up here in your question of how do you utilize this knowledge base, this skill set within your hands, that's the topic of conversation each and every day. And all of the other circular bullshit that anyone wants to try and like kick up and kick out. I mean, from a community standpoint, I just want to say I am not quick to judge, as I would hope and ask that you not be quick to judge myself, because I am no better than any other man, and we are all but mortal. So no one is perfect. No one claims to be perfect, and you already do a great job of just being human. And I don't think anyone should be focused on you being a human being. So no, you don't have to be perfect in anything. And anyone within the community that wants to shine light on this or that or the other, again, like, just wake the fuck up, because you're only as good as yesterday. And guess what yesterday was? Fucking amazing. So wake the fuck up. So I just want to resonate with what you're saying, Michael, because I believe it's important.
Kid, if I cannot just something very quick to what Michael just said.
Jump in.
We'll just go until she shows up at the door. Once she comes and the dogs start barking, I'll just bid you have a good
Yes, sir.
weekend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
It's 3:30, but Michael, uh, I'm saying this from the heart, and I believe many of the people listening feel the same way. I want to tell you that you have an army behind you that genuinely loves you, believes in you, and is grateful for everything you have given to this community. I completely understand why the criticism hurts, because you have
No,
invested all.
no. I am not upset by criticism. Okay, I'm not upset by that. When people say things, I do those things. You can contact Joel Robbins, okay, and ask him. I literally sat there and bought and sold in just a few days to draw that entire account down. I had no intentions of winning because the piece of shit that I wanted to join was a pussy and got exposed as unprofitable for the last 10 fucking years in court ordered fucking documents. So I wasn't going to get what I wanted. But I knew if I invested a little tiny little $10,000 is dick money. It's shit money. But I got more fucking traction off that 10,000 because I got people that think they know something. They come to me and they crow and they crow and they never fucking do better. That $10,000 investment, that was advertising because I got people that will talk about me in their little circles. And the people they talk to in their circle may not even know who I am. And then they come here and they watch me fucking mop the floor with this fucking market, call it out publicly. This is what's going to happen. Here's my executions. Here it is. Done. Next week, same thing. Next day, same thing. The other thing, let me add this because I want this to be complete. You see these fucking assholes, these fucking ignoramuses. They're out there and say, he fakes his broker statements. He's a verified fraud. Here's what you don't know, dickhead. There was a Bopsy twin, okay, two guys, Astro FX. Sean was the thinner one, okay, and he would get on the internet and on social media, and he would post all these little fucking silly fucking things. He would post little MT4 fucking screenshots of his balance, which was easily fucking faked with a white label fucking broker, fake, okay. And he would put these little bullshit tables with, when you're like me, you live like a king, you'll be able to do this and do that, and blah, blah, blah. So I fucking went out there and I made a meme. Like, I'm not fucking stupid, okay? But I put this fucking out there and I said, here, look, when you get like this and you can take this much money out of the market, you don't give a fuck about things either. I was trolling him. But so many of you 20-year-olds just found your way in this industry and you don't know anything about history, about nothing. You have no idea. But you believe these assholes. They're like, do you have any idea? It's fucking illegal to fake fucking documents like that. It was a meme. It was a fucking joke. I was trolling. That's why nothing's ever happened, because it was a fucking joke. Everybody at that time knew who I was trolling. I was the first person to start doing executions and putting songs behind it while it was happening and speed the video up. Sean started doing the same thing. He just couldn't keep up with it. So it was me just trolling these influencers that were selling, and the only money they were making was selling shit. That's all that was. But none of these assholes have anything to say when they see me tell you what the market's going to do, and then I execute on it and prove it's not fucking market replay. Call out individual candles, set in live stream, call it up, down. When shit gets low, when traffic is low, I'll stir it all up. I'll go on and live stream. Okay, we're going to try to do this. We're going to try to do that. Because I know these fucking clients are going to watch. And I toss a little bone here and there. Oh, he's wrong here. Look, oh, look at it. You got five wrong in a row. I'm laughing. My whole fucking family's laughing at this shit. My sons are looking at the same. Look, like, what the hell? Caden, take one of these earpieces out. Do we not laugh at these fucking idiots on the internet when they think they know who I am and what I can and can't do?
Yeah, we do.
Right, period. So the bottom line is, this is the Truman Show, okay? This is the fucking Truman Show. I'm true, I'm the man, and that shit works. All of you are all part of the fucking cast. I'm aware of what's going on. I broke the fourth wall. I know what's going on. But none of you really understand what I'm doing. I'm entertaining myself. Making lots of money is boring. When you do this shit all your life and you know what the fuck's going to happen, you know the winning lottery numbers every fucking day, it's boredom. It's fucking boredom. So I get to live vicariously for all of you. And you have the opportunity to learn something that you never in your million fucking years of life, if you could live that long, would have never learned this. You never would have learned it. All these aces in the industry, all these top professionals, they won this competition. They come out and they wrote this book. Their accolades, they're appreciated, they're loved, they have the biggest memberships. None of them can do what I just fucking did. None of them can do that. Not one of them can do it. I sat out there and taunted and taunted and taunted just with a demo account, and they can't do shit. They can't even come close. They want significance by me attaching myself to them. I don't need to do that. You got to get on my fucking level first. You got to get on my level. Not go around asking prop firms, can I borrow $2 million just to see if I can call his bluff? Come on now. We're on two different fucking planes of existence. I'm in the future. I'm coming back here talking to all of you. And you don't even recognize it. Like, I'm light years ahead down the road in world events, trends, what the market's going to do. And you all have the unique opportunity to be a part of it for free. You don't have to love me. You don't have to respect me and say, you're so great, Michael. I just want you to appreciate what it is, because none of you really understand it, despite having been exposed to it over a long, lengthy time. And to me, frankly, it's offensive, because I think that there should be more excitement about the concepts, not me. The concepts, the empowerment that it gives you. You're not going to be frowned upon by me if you say, man, these concepts, and you keep me out of the conversation. That's exactly what I want. I want you to keep me out of the conversation, because I can make myself the entire subject matter. That's not the point. As students, as the community, I want you to champion the clarity, the visibility, the precision, the absolute cinema of having these things come to pass to such a degree of precision. You should be all rocked up and hopped around on goofballs every day. None of you should be depressed. None of you should be depressed. None of you should be doubting your ability to make money in the future once you get this under your belt. Once you have it, no one can take it from you. I can't get mad at you and say, you know what? I don't like you anymore. Let me call this information back out of you. No, I have students right now that don't deserve it. And they made lots of money. They don't fucking deserve it. They're assholes. They think that they're fucking better than everybody else. They talk down to everybody in our own community while they're shilling their bullshit. That's greed. And I told people, don't do that. Don't fucking do that because it limits your ability to do well with it. Because you get tapped into the easy money. Listen, I'm at the height of my popularity right now. Why am I not selling mentorships? Why don't I have a Discord membership? Why am I getting emails every 5 fucking minutes from prop firms telling me that people are spending $700, $900, $600, and here's how much commission I would be able to pocket if it was going to me, and none of it's going to me because I don't need the fucking money. That's not why I'm here. And years ago, during COVID, when everybody was scared, I was living off of the excitement with the concepts. Not me, but because people saw the opportunity. They saw something they'd never seen before. And some of you have lost that because maybe you tried too soon. You tried to do it too fast. You didn't know what you're doing. And you're afraid to talk positive about it because you hurt yourself trying to run before you learned how to walk. And I'm trying to talk to you in a manner where you just got to recalibrate yourself. The stuff didn't stop working. It didn't lose its precision. These markets have not done shit to turn anything around. You can see it. There is no hindrance at all. In capable hands, there's no limits. I am being limited. All of you aren't. And because I can't, you will be able to. It's my only revenge. That's the only thing I can do. And they can't stop that. They can't do anything to stop it. And now it's out of the bag. No matter what happens, it's out of the bag. They can't stop it. They can't pretend it didn't happen. You all have it. You should be downloading that video last night. You should have it saved. Multiple copies. I had sleepless nights about ever coming to that conclusion of I'm going to teach this part of it. There's a lot of truth to the things I've said in the past. Some of it thinks it's a joke. Some of you think it's, whatever. But it takes a lot of courage to get to the point where I sit down and just lay it out there for you. I fly for a reason. I'm not fearful of flying. But I'm not putting myself up there when they can know for certain when I'm going to be in the air on a date at a time. They're doing that. I live a simple life, very simple life. And money is not a short commodity. I live very passive. I don't try to make a lot of waves in the public. The only thing you've seen about me is what I've shared. And none of you are entitled to more than that. I could become a celebrity if I wanted to be. But I want this to be just about the concepts and the methodology, not me. I'm not that interesting. I'm not that interesting at all. But the unbelievable power that this information and this insight gives you, the clarity, the self-control, if you understand what it is you're learning and you just stay inside the lines and don't color outside of it. Don't try to rebrand it and try to create something new so that way you can be the new mentor. None of you have to be an echo. But there's so many people out there that want to be an echo. Every student that I talked to that ever told me, I had no interest in doing mentorships. They're all selling mentorships. I knew right when they told me this, the Holy Spirit said, they're lying to you. They're going to be doing mentorships. I knew it. And to be honest with you, when it started happening rampant, I wanted to stop then. And for a period of time, I did. And the Father said, this is not what you agreed to. And I feel guilty. And then I go out and I start doing it again. So I wanted to be honest and open with you. Like I wanted to let you know what I'm feeling because there's nothing like this. Like there's nothing better than this. Like, come on, man. Like, if someone told you this is what trading can be like in analysis concepts that would give you this much clarity, the foresight to know I'm going to sit still until it does this. Think about everything else that's available in trading. Nothing else does that. You got to react to something. It's got to break out and start moving. Then I'll chase it. It's got to diverge in the lower portion where it's oversold. And then I can buy it because the market's going to go up because it respects the divergence of these mathematically derived moving averages. Everything else is catch-up all. And for the life of me, I cannot understand why people are not literally fucking doing backflips because this is the science behind it. This is the perfection that's available. You don't have the constraints on you that I have. All of you are in many ways like my children. I invest time, energy, and I have had to sit and had conversations with my own children and then tell me that they're jealous of all of you because I spend more time talking to all of you than I did when they were growing up. And I've been honest about that. I messed up there because I didn't know how to balance it. And to see people just take it for granted and act like, well, I'm going to take his stuff and pretend it never happened. And I came up with it on my own. That you're cursed. You might make a little bit of money, but I promise you, you are cursed. Just sit back and watch how it happens. Because I've seen a lot of people do it. The money is not the point. The appreciation of where it comes from and who it came from. And it ain't me. I don't know why he chose me. I don't know why he answered that prayer. I'm sure everybody out there like you're all part of the same community of when you start and you lose, you get to your wit's end. Maybe you were an atheist for a long time. All of a sudden, you say, God, please help me make money. If you give me money, I'll give to charities. I'll help people in need. You start lying to him. He knows that. I didn't do that. I said, help me understand how to do this. And then I will spend the rest of my days doing that very thing for other people. And I got to be honest, man. Like, sometimes it's been hard because it doesn't get appreciated like I know it should be. Not me, the gift of all of it. I could have been staying in the mentorship business, making millions of dollars a week. How many millions a week would I be making now? None of you would have stopped. None of you would have done that. You all would have been advertising. Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Twitter space ads, billboards on the fucking side of the road. You would have everything. I just posted one time. This is how you do it. Because it wasn't about being big about it. I was mad. My flesh was mad in 2016 because I learned people were taking my free stuff and selling it. Sure. Sure, you got all kinds of things you can come at me and say things about. But you weren't there. You didn't happen to you. You didn't have those things happen to you. And I'm a real person. And I wrestle with a lot of stuff and things that I put myself through when I was a younger man. And that scar tissue is still there. And I went through a lot of stuff to get to where I am and to know what I know and to submit to it. And frankly, if I'm being honest with you, none of you deserve it. If I can speak from my flesh, that's honesty. None of you deserve it. But for the ones that listen and they go through the things I tell you how to do, the process of learning it, and the things that help you learn how to do it, if you're willing to go through that, that's how you deserve it. If you start on this journey and you're wholeheartedly behind, I'm going to do it, I don't care how long it takes. I'm not going to schedule when I'm going to arrive at success. The people that do that, you deserve it. You deserve it. And all the more if you listen to the currency I gave when I first started. Once you're successful, find opportunities to help other people. And some people hear, oh, he said go into mentorship and start selling mentorship. I can help people by doing it. No, you're helping yourself when you do that. That's not what I said. When you see somebody in need, step in and don't even bring yourself to the point where they even know who did it for them. And it's addictive. You want to do more of it. It's just, I know it's probably not the best conversation piece, but I felt I had to do it because I don't feel energized. Like I don't feel
Michael.
like encouraged to continue with it. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to take just like a minute or maybe two.
Sure, I'm done talking. You
Um,
guys can say I took
no,
control
it's
over you.
not being done talking. It's just like you're saying and explaining how you feel and what it does to you. And I do want to say I wasn't because um, the lecture, like last night's lecture, I had like a gut feeling like he's gonna do something, and I was up late because here in Europe it was like 4 a.m. and um, I tried to watch it right away and just fell asleep because it was so late. And then today, I was gonna prepare it for the space to share. I didn't know you were gonna be on, but some life events and my dad's surgery, I'm late, so I was preparing for the space later on 3 p.m. your time actually, and then we came on early, so I wasn't done yet. So I got only to like the first half an hour because I wasn't ready. But I really want you to know that it's not unnoticed. It's not. And to where I was able to get, because I'm gonna continue making it, but I do wanna tell you, like for example, I have been taking my timestamps, and the thing that you've been giving in that lecture are indeed like the details that feel like we shouldn't even have them. And for example, at 40 minutes, 29 seconds, you're explaining that because when you're up in the white shaded area, that's between the two daily inefficiencies, which are the two suspension blocks on the daily, when price starts to go up there, it's gonna do it quickly, efficiently, and then it's gonna run higher. And you explain that this is how you predict low resistance liquidity run conditions. You have been teaching us what they are. You have been teaching us what low is no high resistance. I'm sorry, high no wow low resistance. Yeah, you have been teaching us what high resistance liquidity run conditions are and to stay out of it, how to recognize them. And now you literally gave us how to predict, not even recognize, how to predict low resistance liquidity run conditions. So that was one that I was like, wow, okay, is this what he's going to do in this lecture? Then at 16 minutes and 20 seconds, you reiterated or reinforced the grading of the PDA arrays on octant levels, because that's how you know when the ICT PDA arrays are valid. You have been saying that more often, but now you're combining everything into one lecture. Then um, referring back to predicting the low resistance liquidity run conditions, then you go a bit further at 70 minutes and 40 seconds, and you say this is not um, a low resistance liquidity run condition. This is efficiently delivered price action. So this is you're giving all the sauce, and then it was the one that was like, wow, he's really gonna give it all, because at 25 minutes and 40 seconds you literally give everyone what they're always asking for. where do I buy? Where's my stop? Why and how do I recognize it? You said this is the buying signal on the consequent encroachment of the wick, which was a discount wick. You even explained people being scared to take a trade there, and how do you know, how do you trust it? And you said it's trust from experience. All the years that you have watching that, doing that, it's experience, so you can trust it, and we can. You're lending us that experience, and you're teaching us that. Then you also explain the stop loss. You place your stop loss below the consequent encroachment of the busy, and that busy on the 1 minute is on an octant of the daily suspension block. And then you say why? Why do you place that stop loss there? And it's because you have the wick already with the logic of hitting the consequent encroachment and then running away. So you're giving all of that, and I got more, but I don't know how long you have, so I'm gonna do the last one, because that was about the macros. That was at 25 minutes and around 3 seconds. You're pointing out the candle that's at 10:18 a.m. on the 1 minute, and that's trading back down. And then you say, because that's 10:18, that's not a macro. And then you say that's not something for us to point at, like you're trading out of the macro. Because you then explain, you say you're trading in sync with the macro, and the macro that started its run here, and then you point at it, and you were moving around the mouse a little bit, so I think I saw it was a 10 a.m. candle. And I have more of these notes, and it's only within the first 30 minutes because I'm not done yet. So I just want you to know it is noted. You have been giving everything in there.
Well, thank you for recognizing it.
Yes.
If I cannot, if I can finish, no, at my
Sure.
initial,
Just don't be offended if my wife comes home. Like, I'm just gonna say I gotta go, guys. I'm gonna get out of here.
okay.
Just
No, Michael, very simple and very straightforward. You're at the height of your influence with, with what you said that companies are offering opportunities to monetize what you have built, yet you continue showing up because you genuinely want to help us. So that makes, your time and energy even more valuable than anything else. I really, really just hate seeing so much of that energy being pulled toward people who have already decided to misunderstand you. No matter what you do, Michael, no matter, even if you win the Robbins Cup, even if you show your bank statements, even there are people that still are gonna say that these concepts are support and resistant or some bullshit that we have spoken long time ago. So, but there are thousands of us here who truly value what you're giving us. Um, my mother used to tell me in Spanish something that is called a palabras necias oídos sordos. So it's like foolish words deserve deaf ears. And I say that only with respect and appreciation because your energy is better spent on people who are genuinely here to listen and learn. Thank you for everything you shared with us today, Michael. And I hope everyone listening have a peaceful and beautiful weekend.
thank you for that. I just don't want anybody to get discouraged because they have initial hardship with it, and to take inventory on how they did it. Because many times, like I did too, you think you know it, and you rush out there, and you find out you're not as cured as a trader as you thought you were. Just because you watch something, you think you recognize it a few times in charts, doesn't mean the first time you apply it, it's going to work in your hands. You have to spend time with it. And I've invested a large part of my life into helping all of you on the internet. And I want to see more of you succeed. There's a lot of you that are so wealthy and so dialed in, and you choose to be private. And I've begged some of them. Some of them, you know, are older than I am, and they have had very modest life. And now they're living a life that is unfathomable for them to have ever imagined they would ever get to. And they're only doing one or two trades a week. Their wife and them, they go around, they travel, do all kinds of stuff. They send me pictures, they mail me stuff where they're from. It's just all part of having learned what it is I've given away for free. and they don't care who believes what they're doing. They don't have time for it, and that's what I guess that's what I'm feeling, guys. I'm getting ready to be 54, and I think to myself, like, I'm not afraid of death. Like, I'm not afraid of death, but I am conscious of how many years do I have left here? Like, how many years do I have of my mental faculties? Like, I'm from a family that has lots of strokes, and my great grandfather he died of a stroke. My own father's had several strokes, and you know, no man is promised tomorrow. And I want to live passionately the last years I'm here, and I want to really enjoy what I'm doing with all of you. And the only way that I'm going to feel satisfied in that is if I have to learn a different way of showing something. You know, what do I got to do to keep you excited about it? Like, it's not like I'm here. I'm not monetized. I'm on Kit's space. Like, I'm not getting anything from this except for I'm doing my part and I'm investing in all of you. And the worst thing that could happen is for you to be discouraged. I want you to stay encouraged, but I don't want you to be encouraged by me and what I can do or other students only. I want you to find your own progress and be encouraged by the little milestones in the beginning. When you take those little steps and you think it should be a whole lot more, you're doing a lot. You just don't realize it. Because there's a lot of people out there that can't get to the things that you're getting to in terms of progress. And there's so many of you, all different walks of life in different countries and language barriers. And I wish I could be more. Like, I wish I could be more available and more, because I know what I was going through when I was coming up. And I was alone. Like, I didn't have any of this support. And I just, every day I wake up, I think to myself, I'm going to make a connection with somebody. And it's going to be so impactful. It's going to really encourage me. Like my other channel, doing Bible studies. When one person emails me and says, hey, look, I really like this, boom, I was right in there. I'm making another one because I'm making an impact. And it's not about me. It's about the whole person. Like, this is a ministry. You hear me cussing because that's me as a flesh. I'm feeling emotions. I'm feeling frustrated because my flesh can only do so much. I can only spend this much time because there's this much time in a day. The markets are only open this many times, a week, and it's only going to offer this many opportunities. And I could be all over them, but it doesn't quite reach all of you. And I'm trying to find ways to make, like, I'm not the best teacher, and I wish he would give me a gift beyond what he's already given me in the scope of being able to teach it better. Like, I know in my head what I do and what I'm acting on. And I think, like last night, I think that was if I would have got that after spending some time with someone like me and proving that these concepts do these types of things at certain times of the day and times of the week and days of the week and months of the year around calendar events with the economic calendar. I'm convinced that would have been the turning point for me, where it would have been like, this is exactly what I'm going to spend my life mastering. I'm going to pursue this. I'm not going to be deterred by anything else. I'm not going to listen to anybody else's doubts or whatever. I'm not going to second guess myself. I'm going to pour into this. And I guess my expectations maybe were a little too elevated, but it was me tapping into the raw emotions. Because I have journals, and I read them every now and then. I got to one where I was crying, and the tears were like bleeding across the ink, and I had to struggle to see what two of the words were there. And I'm like, man, I remember that day, and I was so mad. I was so freaking mad. Lean hogs. I was trading live hogs rather, not live hogs, and it went against me. And in my mind, it shouldn't have. But I got mad and I pushed into it further, and bang, hurt. And I poured all this hatred into myself in that journal entry. And I'm like, you know what? I know there's people like that right now. I'm going to give it to them tonight. I'm just going to lay it out there, and this is the way it is. For the people that ask for, can you just put it out there? One video, this is what you're supposed to do. Now, if you're brand new, you're watching that video last night, and you're like, what's the fair value got? What's the consequent encouragement? Why did you pick that low? What's so significant about that 10 minutes before the hour? You see how hard it is to do it in just one video? Like you have to you have to teach a way of interpretation of things that don't exist anywhere else. And it was a struggle for me. In the beginning, I was having anxiety attacks about, because how do I communicate this effectively? Like, I know what I'm supposed to do, but I can't lean on anything else and say, "Hey, read this guy's book, go to this person's course. This is going to help you here." None of that was available to me. And I don't know. Maybe it's unrealistic for me to have the thoughts I was having last night, but I got caught in my emotions last night reading something I went through personally, and I said, "No, I'm just gonna just release it. I'm just gonna do it, and once it's done, they have to deal with it." And that's where we're at today. And I'm in my feels today still. Like, I feel it still, and like I don't want to cry, and I don't want to get overzealous and happy. It's just I'm in that feel. Like I'm. You ever just want to be alone and just listen to some soft, relaxing jazz or blues and just chill? Just accept the fact that you're in it and don't try to escape it. That's what I'm feeling today. And I don't drink alcohol, but this is like my alcohol. This is my vice. When I get stuck in these moments, like, I have to manifest them outwardly. When I was younger, I didn't do these things, and they affected me health wise, and they became fear and anxiety. I'm not anxious for anything. I'm not fearful of anything, but I am feeling connected in a way, emotionally, to all of you, in a way that when I first started doing this, I didn't have any emotion, almost like a sociopath or a psychopath. Like, I just, it was just, I promised I was going to do this, so I gotta do it. I have a relationship with some of you on a teacher student basis that has now had a connection, and I genuinely am concerned for you. And I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be like that, but that's where I am with it. It's a struggle for me because I want all of you to succeed. I want all of you to do well with it. I want you to be thankful that you spent time with my life's work. I want you to feel like you were blessed by God because of it. Not because I blessed you, but because He allowed me to be this useful idiot. Here it is. Here it is. The least of expectations of a man. He chose me to do it. And I don't understand why, but it wasn't my immediate submission to it. I wrestled with Him a lot. I'm not going to teach that. Oh, yeah? Twist your arm here, twist your ankle there. But last night, it wasn't like that. It was coming from my heart, from looking at something that I went through and feeling like he rose it up in me to say, now just do it. Why the timing last night? I don't know. Because that was a lecture. I had no intentions of teaching for a couple more years. And you can be mad at me. And people are going to be mad at me. They're going to take this sound bite and they're going to say, look at this piece of shit. He could have been making it so easy for us. None of you would have taught it. And that's just the bottom line.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Um, I just want you to know that there are students that really appreciate what you're doing. Um, you know, who are really going through maybe a similar moment that you experienced in the past, and what you're providing for free is actually getting them out of that hole that they put themselves in. And just for you to know that is greatly appreciated, and your work is phenomenal. What you've been doing has helped countless numbers of students, and me personally, I'm extremely grateful for it. Um, Being in social media is really tough because you have to deal with 1,500 other followers that you follow and their personalities and what they put out, in their stream, right? And no, mine's is better than yours is better than mine. This bickering back and forth has only made it more difficult for many other traders. But something that I have learned from you is that I decided to stay in my own lane, gather the little crumbs that you're putting down, and use it to my style of trading, and not worry about anybody else's way of what they doing and what they got going on. Like, how you say, "Oh, this guy's nuts." They call, they say you nuts. I consider myself nuts because people have came at me and try to give me this, give me that, and I really don't care. Like, I just care about what I'm learning, what seems to resonate with me, and what Michael has put down. Right? Like, I am not a master of all your concepts, and I'm here in Front Street letting you know I don't know all your concepts, but I grab and resonated with the ones that belongs to me, and I'm grateful and thankful for that, Michael. So your work is not being done, like, we appreciate it, man. I really do. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Gordo's on Front Street, and I'm blessed and fortunate to get to talk with Gordo in private, and some folks do carry kind of a layer of weight of their own, difficulty or challenges with life, or the chapter that life provides, right? I mean, some things are out of our control. I mean, there are health elements that folks, as you mentioned, Michael, where, I mean, some people are just matched in a chapter or a phase in their life where they're dealing with extra adversity. And I definitely wholeheartedly believe that there are folks on the call here today that grasp hold to all of the things. And I think Gordo bringing that up is a really nice reflection. So kudos, Gordo. Way to go.
You don't see a whole lot of the things that I do behind the scenes, and I counsel a lot of folks that come to me through written letters. Um, so obviously, my phone number is public, and this is not an invitation for you to say, like, well, let me do that too. Um, but people leave voicemails and they'll say, hey, look, this is what I'm going through. A couple people have reached out and said, look, I'm getting ready to off myself. If I don't hear from you tonight, I'm done. Like, I need to. And I had to respond to that. I just can't say, well, we'll see what happens. And to hear these people talk to me and tell me that, I'm working really hard to try to get this. It's hard. And can you just give me a little bit of encouragement? Like, because I'm on the edge, man. Like, I'm ready to jump. Like, I had enough. I can't deal with it. There's a lot of that stuff going on right now because everything's gotten expensive. It's hard. The markets are doing things that, it's fast. And if you don't know what you're doing, you get hurt real quick. And I got to be honest, man, like, it's very overwhelming when people are saying they're having a hard time. And I have a lot of money. But all of these people that are saying they need help, I couldn't even begin to do what all of them would expect to do. And that was one of the things it's like I feel guilty because of that because I'm limited in capacity. So the other day, when I woke up, the Lord said, tell the prop firms to use your name and tell them to give it to St. Jude. Just like that. Just like that. That's all right. And then I put the tweet out there. And I was afraid that they were going to laugh at me. None of them would want to participate. I literally was afraid that they would turn that into some kind of comedy strip. I started to think it. I was getting ready to complain to God about it. I was like, look, they're going to take this as a stage. But as soon as I thought it, I said, nope, it came from him. Just do it. Several of the bigger names have obviously came forward. Um, Apex, I didn't hear from them, and I didn't hear. I heard from Lucid, but nothing came after that. So, all you got to do is just put a tweet together, and I'll retweet it and circulate it a couple times a week. Tradeify, obviously you knew them. All the other firms, and some of them were too small, and some of them I know were scammers. People were literally coming out and saying, "Hey, look, we're a new firm that just started this month." I'm not doing that. So, but it actually felt good to see all of the feedback I'm getting from these firms because the people are using them. Like they're using them, and while it's not tremendous amounts of money, but the fact that these companies were willing to partner up with that idea, and everybody knows I'm not getting anything from this, and I have to include this because I've been very open and honest in this discussion today. I have no intention of ever taking a dime from these people. I promise you, all of these other companies that are doing this, all of them want to keep it going past 4 weeks. Some of them have publicly asked, in all of your eyes, saying, we want to continue it because they know they're making money. My motivation was to give to a charitable cause that I give. I used to give to different charities all the time. The last one that I only stick to as an organized one is St. Jude. I give to them every year and every opportunity that it comes up. If it's available to me, I give. I believe in the cause. I believe that these families that are wrecked by the stress with their child, going through that stuff. I had Cody when he was younger. We thought he was stricken with cancer, and like having money doesn't fix it. Like it doesn't fix it, and you don't know fear until you know your firstborn is like you don't know how long they're going to be here. And I believe in that cause. I believe in it. I give my own money to that, and it makes me feel better that I can encourage and have my influence to be able to do that. And I don't care if the prop firms really do it, as long as the money goes to the St. Jude. But to answer the people that are constantly crying about how I'm secretly going to get the money after the 4 weeks, I'm not. And you can literally ask all the companies. I have no interest in it, zero. I could, I could get all that money. I don't need the money. It's not about that. But I'm thankful for the companies that did that partnership with me, and I'm trusting them to do the right thing with what they earn with it. I'm not policing them. I'm not asking them, give me proof of this and proof of that. It's no different if they created a code, 25% off, code Friday, July 31st code, whatever it is. You're just using ICT, and I'm pushing it, allowing my influence to kind of like give it a little bit of momentum, hoping that people will say, you know what, let's contribute. I was going to buy, an account challenge or whatever it is. What do they call them? Prop firm challenges or combines or whatever. Take that money. I'm going to spend it anyway. Let it go there too. And there it is. I don't get any credit for it. I'm not going to make any money off of it. But if I was the catalyst to get them to want to do something like that, then praise God for it. I'll get the reward when I get to see Him in heaven. I ain't worried about what these people think I hear about it. So it bothers me. Like it really bothers me when people take something that's so wholesome, and as a community, we come together and we do something for people that really have a need, and they twist it around and say some twisted, nasty thing. Oh yeah, he's using this. He's going to start getting all that money. Like you're that worried about pocket watching? Like I have the ability to make a lot more money than that. I'm in a weird spot in my fields, and it's just like the world's ugly and toxic right now. And I got to spend more time on my other channel because I'm feeling the weight of it all. And I know it encourages me when I do it. And whether you choose to watch that stuff I put over there, it's up to you. I'm not trying to twist your arm and say you should do it and shouldn't do it. And if you feel inspired to listen to it, wonderful. If you don't, I don't care to know about it. So, but I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. You gave me a chance to kind of like vent a little bit. I appreciate you guys. You give me a little bit of encouragement in a manner that I didn't really ask for. I still am looking for the excitement in the concepts, not counseling me. I'll get through this stuff on my own. I've gotten through things like this before. But I just want you to know from a person, the humanity part of me that is subject to all the things you guys go through. You want to feel appreciated. You want to feel like you're not wasting your time. You want to feel like your life's work means something and much more than just someone taking it and putting a price tag on it and saying, here, I'm going to give you the answers in a shortened version of it. Because that's what's going on right now. And while I knew that was going to happen, it just, I don't know. It takes away the credit and the glory that the Father is supposed to get from it. And it weighs on me. And I know He's capable of doing whatever He needs to do and whatever He wants to do. And He doesn't need me. Like, you don't have to have Michael doing any of this stuff. He could have picked any of you. But my humanity wrestles with this stuff because so many people have gotten rich and they get up there and they buy their cars and they buy their stuff and they never say, I'm thankful for God's ability to step into my life and turn things around and bless me with so much. I don't care about my name coming up. That's the least of concern. I don't want that to actually come up because that steals my reward. I want Him to get all that praise. I want Him to get all the thanks. Every time I sit down and make these videos, I'm praying for God to give me the wisdom to be able to articulate it in a manner where it's received and you guys can understand it and you're blessed by it. And it increases your ability to do well. So that way you can bless your family with it. You can bless other people with it. And again, many times it's interpreted by, oh, he said start a mentorship. That's not what it's about. If you started making half of your paycheck, you should be motivated to take some of that. Every time you get something out of the marketplace, go find somebody who needs something and just help them with it. And don't even have a conversation about it. So here, I just feel like doing this. And the feeling you get from that, it's like, I want that again. I want that again. But when I help someone that didn't ask for my help, but I could see it, they need it. When I give to that, I get so much comfort, peace of mind, purpose, tranquility. And I expect the same thing when I pour my life into this and I see Satan twisted up and find ways to throw it back in my face. And it's like, it's a hard walk, folks. It's very hard to keep doing this because it literally is not as good as I thought it would be because I signed on to it. This is what I'm going to do if you let me understand it. And I understand it, but I don't understand the humanity in the way things are happening right now, in the weight of it in our own community. And maybe it's just the outward things that everybody's wrestling with, the finances, marital things. I had students that have marital problems. Some of them started as students together, married, and one of the parties, say, I'm taking all the money. They drained the bank accounts and left them. But they worked together both, learning the stuff I taught, correspond with me, shared their victories and their testimony about how well they did this and did that. And the guy gets a case of the ass and says, well, I'm hot shit now. I'm going to go and chase tail and leave the woman I married and built this up with and took everything. Well, now I didn't have anything to do with that, but I feel partly responsible. Like I gave them something they used together to make money, and I feel the enemy constantly telling me, see what you did? You caused that marriage to break up. Maybe some of you wouldn't think that way, but that's how it comes to me sometimes. And I got to wrestle with those things. It's not always the good stuff. It's not always the biggest payout, the 5-figure payout, the 6-figure payout, people talking like, yeah. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes where people are really struggling. And when the money comes, it isn't helping. Because if your heart ain't right, you're going to tear things up with that money. And I don't know, I don't know how to fix all that stuff. And I know it's not realistic for me to feel like I can or should, but I'm still feeling it. Like I'm still feeling the attachment to students that I had ongoing communications for years with, sharing pictures of their family, the home they got, the places they're going to see. And all of a sudden, boom, when I thought everything was going great, he does this. I didn't know him personally, but to see it happen and then to listen to her on the phone, a couple hours talking, and I feel helpless. Like I can't fix that. It's not like I can go out there and make a video and say, hey, this is how you replace depression from a broken marriage because success came into your life. Like, there's nothing I can bring to that. And I'm being met with things that I didn't expect to encounter as a teacher, as a mentor, as someone that's got a little bit of influence. And sometimes it's heavy. Like it's very heavy. I just want you to know that it's not just always good stuff. I appreciate that. And that's why I need to tap into everyone's excitement. And again, that's not worshiping me. It's the community. That's why I liked when I first started coming into these things, listening to other people encourage one another. When I wasn't the purpose of the conversation, it was all of you helping each other. That that helped me. That gave me like hope because I see a lot of the ugly stuff, and I don't make that known. Like I'm not trying to air people. I mean, maybe you're thinking you should have never said that. You don't know who these people are, and I didn't say their names. But it still communicates something that I wrestle with as a human being, having a part in that, not purposely, as a catalyst for their failed marriage. Maybe they would have stayed together if they wouldn't have made so much money. That's how I look at it. Maybe if they didn't get so successful, they would still be together. That's the kind of thought process I'm thinking about when I see these things happen. And that's not the only one that happened like that. A few of them were the women. But this young man, he looked the part. He looked like he was the family guy, respectful, said all the right things, took all the money and left. That's wrong. Like, that's wrong. And it's just, I don't know, man. Like, I'm turning this into a couch session and pouring my stuff out to all y'all, but it's the reality of it all. Everybody wants to be a mentor. Everybody wants to be an influencer. You know, if you start touching people's lives and you get to know certain people and they share their personal privacy and things behind their family walls, and you see the struggles they go through, even when being successful, it's a hard pill to swallow. And it'd be easy for someone that doesn't care to be like, that's their problem. Whatever. They got greedy. I don't think like that. I wear my heart on my sleeve and I take everything to heart when people tell me I'm struggling and I believe I'm going to get there and they finally get there and I'm happy for them. And the very thing it's like when these people win the lottery, they had happy marriages, happy everything. They win several $1,000,000 and all of a sudden, there it is. Substance abuse, infidelity, divorce. Both broke or one dead. So there's an ugly side to all this stuff. If you're not prepared for it or seeing it coming, it can happen to you. And I think about how I can have conversations, and I don't think it's appropriate for me to be on YouTube with it. And I feel like maybe I should have brought it up sooner. Some of you are probably thinking this is depressing, but this is reality, folks. Just like you're gonna have losing trades. That's how we started this conversation off. Drawdown. Life has drawdown. It has hurt. Sometimes you have a period of lack, desperation, depression, and you got to have an outlet to get charged back up. And if you don't have a relationship with God, then you got to have some sense of community. And I saw that when I first started listening to here, that participation by everybody. The conversation shouldn't just be me. It shouldn't be me. Like, I want to be part of the audience. I want to hear more about all of your stories. A lot of you don't realize it, but a lot of you inspire me. Like you encourage me to do more, to give more. But if I'm always the one talking, I know what I'm saying before I say it. It's just a one-way conversation. But if I'm a spectator and I'm a listener, I have the joy and the privilege to be able to listen to your story and what you're wrestling with, and the gift of having all of you encourage that person. Because you don't have to do that. You don't have to spend your time doing that. But you do. And that encourages me. Because there's a lot of times I just want to stop. I just want to go do whatever my wife wants to do. I'm done. I'm turning it off. Where do you want to go? And how long do you want to stay there? And what do you want to do after that? In 2 years, my niece, who I raise, she's going to graduate. And the intention is we're going to be out and about. I'm probably going to sell this home I'm sleeping in right now and have no residence in Maryland. And then we're going to go gallivanting around probably for a year or so in the RV, different places, just scouting different property values and locations where I can have our next homes. And I'm going to do a whole lot less of what I'm doing now. Will I contribute on a weekly basis? Yeah. But I don't see it as a daily type thing. And I kind of like want to get to the point where you have everything that you're going to ever need. And the only thing you need to do is just commit to participating in it every day, trusting that it'll happen for you. And I want to take a step away from an everyday. Like it feels like a job sometimes. And during COVID, I felt like I was really helping people. Like I felt like I was encouraging people because they were scared. They didn't know what to do. They were losing their jobs, and I was empowering them with the ability to replace their jobs, or they lost their business. And I gave them a way to replace all that. Let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. The Father gave me the opportunity to be a conduit, so that way He could give them the ability to replace that. And now I feel myself tiring, to be honest with you. Like I'm winding down. I'm feeling my age. And it's just, it makes you count your days. And it makes you think about how many days do you really have left? And how do you want to spend them? I have endless means. I can do whatever I want to do, go anywhere I want. And price tags have never been an issue for me. And I'm wrestling with my flesh. Like I'm feeling that tug of war. Keep doing high output content. Keep pouring into the people. Start doing more things with your family because you're not going to be here long. That's what I'm struggling with each day. And I have a grandson who I thought I was going to see more of, but I don't. Life finds a way to always get in the way. So I don't know exactly where I'm going with it, but I just wanted you to know that there's a real person behind that mask of inner circle trader, and I deal with things like anybody else does, and I have unique conundrums because of the relationship I have with some of you, and in other facets, all of you. In the beginning, I wanted to see you succeed because I wanted to brag about it. I made you popular. I made you successful. I made you profitable with money that you never would have made in your life. And over time, God used this experience to soften my heart. Now I care and I want to see you succeed because I want to see you succeed. I wasn't like that in the beginning. You can hear it in the presentations. On Baby Pips, you could hear the narcissism. You could hear it. You think you hear it now. That's just me getting your attention. When I've talked and droned on for a little bit of time, I'll tap into the ICT. I'll use some colorful language and raise the volume up, gather you by your lapels and get your attention for a little bit. But it's all showmanship. It's just managing the audience. But I am absolutely feeling the urge to to get out and ramble and get up the road and spend some time with my family doing things and just live a little bit. No market stuff, no constant ICT, no constant you know participation on social media. I'm counting down the days, man. Not next June, but the following June. Like empty nester, no children in the house, all grown up and graduated, and my wife and I have plans. So I want to spend the next 2 years the best way I can. And I want to know going into those 2 years that that I'm aiming for a certain level of energy. And it might not be successful. I might not be successful in getting to that level. I may come back, in two Junes from now, 2 years, and say, what I hoped for, I didn't get. Or I might be able to say, hey, look, all these things and more. And I'm so thankful, and it was awesome. It was way beyond what I was expecting. And so many more of you found, a stride in life that you never would have achieved if you hadn't done this. And I also know that we're getting close to 2030. We have a lot of plans in the works for that stuff. And we won't be spending time together during those years. Not like you see here. Not like it's been in the past. So I want to pour myself into you the next 2 years. And I'm hoping that the Lord gives me the strength to keep up that output and keeps my health up, keeps my mental faculties. I'm thankful that I don't have those problems that some people have in my age. And I know some of you laugh and say, oh, you're young, you're not old. I know a lot of people that don't have the ability to think clearly anymore. They get dementia, they've had strokes, heart attacks, they can't even walk around. And I just want to make sure that I put everything that I promised I would into it. And I hope, in 2 Junes from now, 2 years from now, when I say to you, look, I'm going to try to do like maybe once a weekend, touch base with everybody then. That's what I want to aim for. That there's so much more success stories, so much more testimony for him. That maybe you don't think that he has a part in your life right now, but he does. The fact you even listen to me shows it. And if you give him a chance, trust him. Just say the same thing I asked for. I believe as God, you can bless people. And I believe you can give wisdom to people. Ask him to bless you with wisdom so that way you can be a giver and give to people that are in need. That's the kind of prayer he answers. That's his will. Ask anything in my name, that's what he said. What's that mean? It's got to be something he wants to do. You ask him for, let me be rich and retire my family. I don't think he's inclined to answer that type of prayer. But you're asking to be empowered, to be able to live your life as a servant and help other people. And he gives you the resources, that way you can meet their needs. That's absolutely up his alley. And that's an honorable thing. That was the currency when I started with this. That's what you're supposed to do with it. And those that choose not to do it, they'll have their short-term riches. They'll get rich. A lot of young people are rich right now, drive around cars they never would have touched before. But they went into it for the wrong reasons. And they're doing it for the wrong reasons. And they're getting their ill-gotten gains on things that they don't deserve. So, anyway, I know it's probably not one of those feel-good, buzzing, like, yeah, I'm hopped up, I'm ready to run through a brick wall. But sometimes these are conversations that I have with myself when I drive. And I talk to him like this. In many ways, I am talking to him. But you're just part of the conversation. You get to listen and eavesdrop.
It's a great conversation, Michael.
Well, if it means anything, just know that there's a few smucks that call price 2 weeks before it happens.
Call him Price before it happens, huh?
My wife's not here yet, so you guys, if you want to continue, I just want to just listen. I don't want to. I don't want to speak anymore today. I said too much, and too much has been said already. So if anybody wants to share something, if they want to chime
Well,
in,
yeah, Pippi's got his hand up. I mean, we're at a good spot for today. I mean, it's been good. It's been a good space. So I like the cohesiveness and what it is. Pippi, you up, bro?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
here.
you got anything?
Yeah, so I just want to piggyback on something that might have been a little misconstrued, right? The other day when I was talking about that settlement, and if you pay attention to the post, what I'm saying, I'm not saying do not use 1414, right? That's not what I'm saying. And if you listen to the video that Michael made, he's specifically saying that 414 price is for RTH, right? Specifically for RTH, right? Now, there are some things that I have found, right, in regards to the settlement price that the CME publishes. Okay, now these are things that I have found on my own discoveries, right? And when we talk about reaching out to people and helping people without being seen or without um any monetary value behind that, right? I do that a lot, right? Damn near every space, whenever I hear somebody up here and they're talking and they're confused or they're struggling or whatever, most of the time I reach out to that person in their DMs, right? Because I'm very good with the concepts that you have provided, right? I'm very good with that. I understand all the concepts. So I reach out to people. Now, people are telling me that I'm wrong, right? The same people that are struggling tell me that I'm wrong about my finance, right? Specifically to that price, right? Oh, you're wrong because ICT said this. You're wrong because ICT said that, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, listen, what I find is my own observations, right? This is like what I'm telling the people. I tell people, listen, go through the content. He gave you numerous breakdowns of how to go through the content. Numerous, right? You said it on this space, you said it in videos, you said it all over the place, right? So I don't want to make it seem like I was trying to shit on you, and I'm talking to Michael, right? I don't want it to seem like I was shitting on you, right? I was being specific with that price that the CME publishes, right? Because it's two separate things, right? There's two separate things. So I heard you mention that in your video, and I just don't want you to think that I was trying to combat what you were saying, right? Because even some of those observations that I have found in regards to settlement, I actually asked you questions about that specific price compared to the open, right? In other roundups, right? If you remember, right? We have discussed that in other roundups, and I have found things on my own, right? So I don't want to make it seem like like I was trying to come at you
No,
or I
I
was
didn't
trying
interpret it
to.
that because I would have answered your tweet directly. I was addressing people that
Right,
are emailing me that read that, and they're like,
right,
Is there
right, right,
something different here? Because they're saying this is bullshit, the 414 time. And I'm like, no, it's the final print for regular trading hours. You need to know what that is,
right,
and then stick to that. Don't
right.
worry about it. There's nothing missing that I didn't share with you. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I agree. I agree 100%. Right. I agree 100%. Now, for that for that print is the last traded price. Right. For that. Right. Now, the settlement price is different from that price. Right. Are we on the same page here?
Well,
Yes, but I'm
Okay.
focusing on teaching
Yeah.
what I've
Yeah.
already taught. It's the final print for regular trading hours. When they when they pull it
Mm-hmm.
up on TradingView, that's the price they're going to look for. If they keep doing that, everything that I teach in terms of anchoring, reference points, the gradient levels, they're all going to be germane to that price because it's the last final print for regular trading hours.
Right. Right. Okay, so we're definitely on the same page because I didn't because I heard it in the video and people tagging me like, oh, you heard ICT say your name, blah blah blah, and I'm like yo, like listen, I'm not trying to go back and forth because one thing I learned is you never try to overshadow or overtake the master, right? And I don't want to call you a master, so I'm gonna replace that with teacher, right? You never want to outshine the teacher. And I didn't want it to make it seem like I was trying to outshine the teacher. So I just wanted to have some clarification there.
No, you would have if it was something I would have had an inspiration to address. You've seen it many times from students and other people. If I see something ain't right, I'm gonna directly respond to it publicly so that like people can see it. But I was I got like 30 different emails saying, "Hey, tell me what's wrong with
Oh, I
this."
get
I'm
it.
like, "Come on, man!" Like,
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it 100%. 100%. I just wanted to have the clarification just, between me
yeah,
and
but
you,
cool,
right? I didn't want it to make it seem, yeah, I didn't want it to make it seem like it was more than what it was. So I
not a
appreciate you.
problem.
4:44. I like the time. Pippi coming
Kid,
in. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
over 1,000 supporters listening, and even some of the biggest critics was still showing up to listen Michael, to hear what he has to say. That alone tell us how much influence ICT has. So I know he seems down today, but you know he should be happy to see all the supporters on a Friday afternoon listening to him and to us. So cheers.
Cheers, mate. Cheers. We
I see actually damn, he just left.
yeah.
I was Pax was here, so
I think he's got me on mute. I've asked him two questions directly on X, and I think he probably sees what I see a lot. All these bots that pretend to be me, and I block every time I see them. I just block, block,
let me
block.
let me try to send him a message and see if he can come here.
I just want some of y'all to ask him, did he mute me? I mean, if he did, I'm not going
Uh,
to ask him why.
no,
But if
I
he,
mean it's probably a bot, Michael. I mean it's very easy to incidentally to do that.
I
So
never said anything ill about the guy.
no, no, he's been up here on Trader Roundup. We've had some really good, thoughtful conversations. Even one last week. I mean, he comes up, he's around. It's great, actually. It's really nice. I mean, I will say this. I kind of like the topic. I like the bookend of where we're at today. Personally, I know there still might be a little bit of time, but I like it being what it is today. I like our topic. I like how the conversation went, and I think we're at a good spot to make it a listenable, kind of episode to trade around at, Michael. I mean,
It works for me. I
yeah.
appreciate you guys letting me vent and get the emotions off my chest and share some of the things I've been wrestling with and some of the things that were catalysts as to why I feel a certain way. The people that troll me, in closing, real quick, they have no influence on me. It's the influence that those trolls have on my students, and it's like short term memory and short attention span. It's so easy for someone to latch on to something that's negative, untrue, and that's how the enemy works. He sows discord, he sows doubt, he makes you question why you should be doing it. When I'm standing here pouring everything I have into you, I'm asking for nothing when I could ask for money and people would throw it at me. I'm demonstrating that the biggest thing people are doing that aren't trading and making money is through affiliate marketing. I'm giving it to St. Jude, who is a charity that I believe in. And I think that all of you should be excited about what you're getting into. Don't let anybody steal your joy. Don't let anybody talk you out of it. Don't let anybody talk you into thinking that it can't work for you, because it absolutely can. It absolutely can. And it brings me down when I see other people that have no talent, no basis to what they say. They make up shit all the time. And they ignore all the evidence and I bring forth that here's what's going to do, here's how I'm going to participate in it, and then I execute with it, and there it is. And the arguments that are brought never, ever address that. And to me, as a teacher, I take that to heart because it's like, what business do you have believing an opinion about someone else when they can't even adequately address or even mimic the person that's teaching you what they're able to show you? Because if they can't do better, why is their opinion about who you're learning from significant? Why does it hold any water? And I'm not going to save everybody in that regard. I'm not going to protect them from themselves and their opinion. And everybody's entitled to have their opinion. I'm not loved by everybody. And even if I got out here and I told you where the market was going to go and we all made money, still people would talk shit about me behind my back because they would look for some way to monetize what I'm doing and draw a crowd away from me. It's been like that all the time. And I'm the first person that's happened to. Anybody that has a large following, there's these parasites that come in there and they want to try to take something. Okay, they want to take something away and pocket it for themselves. But don't let these types of people steal the opportunity, because that's exactly what the enemy loves to do. He doesn't want you to succeed. He doesn't want you to have means to help other people, to bless other people, to put your family tree on a different footing financially, where they don't have to worry about the finances. They don't have to struggle. And then you can get to see what their heart really is. And if you teach them to be a giver, teach them to be someone that cares for their neighbor. Who's your neighbor? Whoever that ain't you. And help them when they need something. How are you going to have a hard time giving when you have a limitless supply? Every day is like a ATM machine that you have a PIN number, and the money is always there. The money tree. You walk out back, you pluck some bills off the branch. It's a different way of life. It's a totally different way of life, and I want all of you to experience that. And I pray for all of you. I try to do my best to encourage all of you, and I don't want anybody to mess it up for you. And it's so easy to believe the bullshit on the internet and ignore all the facts that's being brought to you, all the evidence, the consistency, the things work. Everything follows the same information and logic that I taught you from the beginning. It doesn't deviate, doesn't morph into something else. It's always the same stuff. And by repetition and you putting yourself in front of it, you're going to learn that you can trust it. But getting yourself to that point, I can't do that for you. I'm doing everything I can, but you have to subscribe to the workload. Put yourself in the charts and test it, see it.
I love it, and I believe that is where we are going to leave today. Trader Roundup, Weapons of War. I want to implore to the listener to go back and watch the YouTube channel and to get caught up. I, for one, would love to have another classroom with some students who are caught up with the material that has been presented over these last few days. So, I mean, I do believe, just speaking to the community, I think we could have an eventful Trader Roundup in, later on this weekend, still in a reflection of what's been happening through the delivery of the content. So I'm excited actually to go back and listen, because I missed yesterday, last night's, but I'm excited to go back to listen to all of the last few uh, lectures via YouTube, and I'm excited to come back here to Trader Roundup for us to talk about and discuss.
Brother, before Paxy's here, sorry to interrupt. Just so you know,
That's
he
great.
just got here.
That's great. I mean, we'll bring.
Pax, can you request
Yeah, yeah.
to speak?
I'll bring him up. Where'd he go? He just disappeared. I was gonna bookend this, and he just disappeared. Which X is undefeated.
Oh, he's here. He's back. I
Okay,
see
there.
him.
Let me see. Um, I'm looking for him.
Maybe
There,
Paxy's easier
there,
to be
there he
request.
is. There he is. Well, Pax, come up. I just sent him an invite. There we go. Hey, Pax, you there, brother?
Hey, Kit. How you doing?
Ke-
Thank you, Margaret. How you all
Yeah,
doing?
we're doing great, buddy. We're just kind of, I mean,
Thank you, Margaret. You too. Have a great weekend. God bless you.
just kind of getting into would love to have you kind of put a bookend in the conversation we've had today. Just the start of the conversation, Pax, was mitigating a loss, and I came to the conversation of Trader Roundup, it stating how I took a loss early, and I stayed within the market trading my model, in which I was successfully capable of mitigating my loss. But we were just kind of talking about coming to the market and losing, and what you do, and was curious if you wanted to add to the conversation.
How to mitigate a
Yeah,
loss?
yeah, like trading to mitigate a loss. Like that there's a fine line between gambling over trading your model, that experience that we have in saying and having the conviction towards taking an expense, but still engaging with our model and how we engage with price.
Well, I don't. Are you talking like broadly speaking? You're talking about
Just an intraday,
on
like
a
it,
trade by trade
I mean, like
basis.
on an intraday. Perfect example today, coming out of the 9:30 open. I got long on the 9:36 candle, and just with the speed and volatility, I got taken out pretty quickly. And from that time, I was dealing with drawdown. And so, where and how I chose to wait within the market intraday for my model to kind of start to play out and start to see signatures I was looking for within price, then I was able to re-engage with the market even after having started the day in drawdown with an expense, and I was still able to successfully uh, derive a trade idea and levels and a plan in which was I was capable of navigating through that drawdown and mitigating the loss.
Well, yeah, no, that's good. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I was in the bank. Now I'm in my car. So, well, I mean, I assume every trade I take, I assume is going to be an expense of some sort. Like right when I take the trade, my first thought is, I need to protect myself. And then when the trade works, then I'm going to just manage my profit. But if I come into the day when I am actively trading, I come into every trading day with a plan and with the idea that that it's a day I want to spend money or it's a day I don't want to spend money. This is a day where, I'm okay heading into a bit of drawdown because I know that the money that I need to spend in the market is going to pay dividends in ways that, I know it will. Wednesday's a great example of it. Um, I knew Wednesday I have not really done a whole lot in the indices in the last few months. I've traded gold and I've traded bonds and I've traded some crude, but not a whole lot of S&P. On Wednesday, I was ready to go with, we had earnings, we had the Fed. I knew that we were going to do stuff and I kind of assumed that it would be to the downside. I just, I needed it. I needed the market to break first. And, the S&P during the press conference ran up to 74.75. That was the 3 o'clock, the late day trade that we do in my group that I do. 74.75 was a late day price. So, I didn't get short there, but I started to get short underneath it. And at some points, I mean, I took a couple of pretty big quick stops on pretty big size when we got thin and got busy. But once I was able to find the momentum in the market, I used my rotations to take profit and add through it. So by the end of the day, the drawdown that I had ended up being exceeded by, I don't know. I don't even know how much I know what I made and I know what I was down at one point. But yesterday was a day, especially after having a big day, and I was exhausted from Wednesday anyway. So I didn't have an idea as to what the market was going to do off the open. We were either going to extend lower right away or we're going to rally hard, and that was going to take a little bit of time to come into focus. So I mean, it's not a day I wanted to spend any money, and I didn't get long. I stayed short bonds. And then today was a day where, I think I said in the Ninja stream, I wasn't willing to spend a whole lot of money out of the opening range. So, I come in every day with a little bit of a plan. Today's the day I want to spend money and I'm okay with it. So that means that if I lose, depending on the size I'm trading, if I spend, I don't know, a $5,000 or $10,000 and I shut it down because the market ends up doing nothing, well, I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with it. If I spend $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000 in a trade that's not part of my plan, I am not okay with that. That is something I need to go back and I need to look at. I need to take, why did I take those trades? It wasn't part of my original plan. Why did I overtrade this particular level? It wasn't part of what I wanted to do. And then I replay sometimes. I don't replay the things. I record my screens every so often. I'll rewatch the recordings and I'll go over it and try to, pinpoint what wasn't my emotional makeup for the morning that, that enabled me to start to get on the hamster wheel, that kind of shit. That doesn't happen to me that often anymore, but it does. I'm human. We all, fall into old patterns of thinking. So I don't know, I have traded with the biggest and the best traders in the world, both on the floor and off the floor. I was an actual hog trader in the pit. I learned how to spread there. I traded. I was, in the Nasdaq for many years. Was one of the biggest traders there, and I'm not afraid of risk. I'm not afraid of drawdown. It's just scared money doesn't make money. I mean, you really have to. You have to have a plan. You have to have a trading plan, and that trading plan has got to be okay with spending money or drawdown or losses or expenses, however you want to phrase that. It's got to be okay with it. It's got to be controlled, but you've got to be okay with spending money. Because again, scared money just doesn't make money. If you start to trade too big, too fast, too large, too often, too much, well, you need to have a mechanism within yourself to be able to stop that. There's a lot of reasons why people fail. There's a lot of reasons why traders failed coming off the floor onto the screens. There's a lot of reasons why traders fail now. The odds, by the way, are the same in 1990 as they are now. 1 to 3% of traders are going to make enough money to become financially free, and very, very few of those will keep it over a long period of time. Anybody can make money trading. Anybody can. It doesn't take a lot of talent to click a mouse. Very, very few people can keep it. Very, very few people can grow it. And I think those people that are okay with taking a stinger in the face or taking a stop up the keister, it's part of the game, and you've got to be okay with it. It's got to be if it's not part of your plan, though, you got to go back to the drawing board and see what's up. I don't know if that answers your
No,
question
I
or what.
love that, man. I mean, I'm just talking from experience, and I think it's a really good place to be to talk about it. But like when you're in a trade and when you say scared money doesn't make money, I mean, you have to be okay with taking the loss. You have to be okay with incurring drawdown within the trade and the position and the levels and where you're at within the trade and where it's going. And that conviction within where you put your stop and with where your target one is and where you get in. I mean, I think it's real easy to get kind of psyched out by the market. And I think a lot of traders that I talk to, they talk about where and how they were at the right price. And for whatever reason, they got knocked out. And later on, they just turned around and they were scared where they should have got in at that price again later because they got knocked out. And then they watched it go to their target. And I just hear that all the time. And I mean, I also, if it weren't for the experience in the models that I have, I do struggle with the same thing because the charts really, just the way the candles move, that's kind of what it's doing to us, is inducing that kind of fear and there is a level of emotion and a level of psychology in trading. And it's wonderful having these conversations with folks that are in the market. And that's what a lot of folks don't have experience doing, is how they're engaged within the market and still able to find success. And you do that, Pax, and it's a good reflection and mirror within the conversation that we have here with folks today.
I wonder how many people listening know what the NASDAQ was a tick per one lot when I started trading.
I mean, you mentioned
Or
$100 a tick, right?
a
That's
tick. It was
insane
$100 a tick.
with the
And how
volatility.
much was the S&P a point? These are things that most of you guys don't know. I don't think anybody would in here, and nobody know. And I don't think if you knew how much the S&P was $500 a point. Um, it traded in nickel ticks and quarter ticks, but it was, you were one bid at two. So if you bought one at one and sold it at two, you made $500. And then they cut the contract to accommodate the E-mini. I think it was in 1997 or 1998, to bring about the E-mini contract to be able to make it more in line, to ultimately to get rid of the big contract. So, and that became 250 a point. Now, I mean, just imagine trading a runaway NASDAQ, with the 300 or 400 point range, and you've got a one lot on and it's against you. You're down $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 before you can even think of it, and if you had any sort of size on, which I traded, that's what it was. So I got used to that pretty quickly. And I got used to that sort of risk pretty fast. So I don't mind. And then after I started over again in 2013, after MF Global failed, and I chased my tail, I blew myself up chasing it. I had to learn how to be successful again. I've talked about this. I talk about it all the time on spaces. I had to learn how to make money again. I had to learn how to be positive again. And by that time, it was the E-mini was a big contract. The NASDAQ, the big NASDAQ was gone. The S&P big contract was alive until 2020. And then COVID, they shut that pit down. But, anyway, my goals on the screen were to be positive as consistently as I can, not to trade big size, not to prove anything to anybody. It ain't about me. My trading is not about me. It's my process. It's about my process. My trading is not about my analysis or my guesses or my opinions. It's about what the market is doing and what the market is doing at that point. When I start making it about me is when my ego gets involved. And that's when I start to not care about managing my expenses.
Can you hear
Can you
him?
guys, yeah, can you guys hear me?
No, you broke up. I lost you, mate.
My son called me. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you fine.
So now that's when my ego gets involved. And when my ego gets involved, I don't I don't care about managing my process. I don't care about managing my expenses. I don't care about losing money. All of that shit starts to come into play. I'm no longer self-confident, no longer self-possessed, no longer self-assured. Yeah, and I'm running around chasing my tail on the hamster wheel. I've come too far, too fast in my life to go back to where I was before. I'm going to protect myself at all times. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. This is the greatest business in the world, the best business in the history of the world. Trading floor was a little bit better. This, oh God, this is. I'm sorry, I have two of my sons and one of my daughters text me all at the same time. So this is the greatest business in the world. Nothing was like the trading floor. There'll never be a place like that again. Ever in the history of the world will there ever be a place like that again. But I much prefer trading on the screens than I did on the pit. I much prefer this lifestyle. I am 58 years old. I'm in the best shape of my life. Uh, in spite of cancer twice and electrical heart disease, I am lean and I am strong as an ox. And I work out every day. I don't drink much. I eat good, whole, healthy foods, all of the things I talk about doing. I pray, I meditate, I visualize, I know where I'm going, I know who I am, I know where I'm going, and I know, my brothers and sisters, it is not about me. There is a God, and I'm not it.
I love that message, Pax. I love that message, and I appreciate you for coming up and being that consistent beacon, bringing up Jesus, praying, letting people know the importance of visualization, mentalization, mentalizing what is going to occur within the market before it happens. It's so important. You talk about it, you preach it, you advocate it. You're here. You mentioned it again today. Our title is Trader Roundup Weapons of War. And I think you're bringing to the market, this place, this war zone where someone could get damaged very easily. You're talking about, you're showing, you're explaining real time weaponry and weapons that can be utilized. So again, thank you for adding to the space and providing to us your process. That's important.
I don't, I don't like that terminology, weapons of war. I'm not at war. I'm not, on the
No, I
trading
understand.
floor.
I understand, but we come to a place where you could incur damage, and in a war place, unfortunately, a lot of folks gamify what's going on, and I think there's a seriousness, and it had to do a little bit more in depth with the conversation as well. So it was analogous to the entire conversation that we had. I do understand what you're saying, though, in it not being a war, right? But just understanding the analogy wasn't that you can harm yourself on that floor.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can piss away your life and piss away every nickel you have. Yeah. Dan Graham's. I don't know if you guys know who Dan Graham's is. If you don't, you should. Dan Graham's is wrote the book on technical analysis, quite literally, and he taught me my first technical analysis class, 1988, after I started on the floor at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange as a runner. And one of the things he said was, uh, uh, every trade that you make has a potential to make your wildest dreams come true. Conversely, every trade you make has a potential to crush you. So as long as you protect yourself from, the adverse effects of every trade having the potential to kill you, then you get to explore the best part of this business, which is managing your profit. So if you can manage yourself and you can manage your risk, then you learn how to manage your profit. And learning how to manage your risk is only part of the equation. That's only going to get you to break even. Learning how to manage your profit, learning how to add to your positions is how you're going to get rich. That's how you get rich. That's how you become wealthy. You become wealthy by learning how to add to your position without adding to your risk. That's how you do it. And it's not It's not about how many trades you take, or your win rate. Not in my opinion. I think my win rate is probably under 20%. The vast majority of my trades are either scratches or very, very small expenses, small expenses. But like on Wednesday, when I find the momentum of the market and I'm on the right side of it, I'm going to hammer some size out, and I'm going to take it as far as the market is going to let me take it. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense. So I spent too much of my life, fighting other people, fighting, other traders, fighting, other battles. And I don't fight shit anymore. I'm not afraid of anybody or anything. I'm not afraid of any situation. Everything I was afraid of came true in my life, and everything was fine through it all. The expression that you guys hear, oh, don't worry, you got to provide. And you think that's nonsense, especially when you're struggling. That's nonsense. Yeah. When I was struggling, I had a roof over my head. Wasn't the roof I wanted, but it was a roof. My kids woke up in dry, warm beds. That made it. We had it better than 90% of the world's population just because of that fact. We had food in our bellies, processed food maybe, cheap food maybe, but we had food in our bellies. We had clothes on our back. We had everything we needed, and we had each other. Not what we wanted, but what we needed. Everything else, that was, just a matter of picking one foot up and putting it in front of the other, and learning how to do things again, and learning how to do them better, and learning how to manage your risk, and then going on to the best part of trading, which is learning how to manage profit and exploit profit.
Hey, Pax,
Hey, Michael.
how you doing? I asked
Great,
you a
thank you.
question on Twitter or X, and I wasn't sure you could see me. Like, there's a lot of bots that pretend to be me, and I was assuming that maybe you had put me on mute, or maybe you didn't see it. If you don't mind, can I ask you basically what I was asking on
Yeah,
X?
certainly.
What what advantage do you believe you held as a trader when you were on the floor that only on-screen traders at that time, or not really at that time, was mostly a slow transition to electronic trading? But what advantage did you have as a floor trader then that you don't see as an advantage now because you're a screen trader, and vice versa? What advantage do you see now as being a screen trader that you didn't have as an advantage as a floor trader?
We had human beings created the volume. I mean, we made the market. Humans made the market move. It's computers make the market move now. AI makes the market move. So we were legit market. I mean, I was a legit market maker. We human beings, even if you're a 1 lot, 2 lot trader, and you lifted a bid and hit an offer, you were a market maker. Small, but you're a market maker. We're not market makers anymore. The computers create, I don't know, it's something like 90% of the volume every day. Vast majority of the volume in the S&P or NASDAQ is created by computers. And, and so learning how to be a market taker and not a market maker was difficult, so that was an advantage on the floor, was we created the volume. Another advantage would be, your friends and your relationships, and most traders on the floor didn't have a trading methodology or trading process. I did. And when I didn't make it about me, my ego and my, look how big I am, when I got something to prove to somebody, I traded that process and I made, a lot of money. When I left it, and when I got divorced in 2003 from my first, I was married for a few years to my first wife, and I had something to prove to her, she was wrong or whatever. Or when I got remarried to my wife, the love of my life, 2005, I had to prove to her that she made the right decision. That when you've got something to prove to somebody, you're putting yourself in a backwardation sort of an environment. But anyway, we created the volume, we created the movement, and so I think it was that was a huge advantage. I can put my if it was even bid in the NASDAQ, as a small trader, I would sell 5. If it was even on 100 or even on 50 in the NASDAQ, if I sold a 5 lot I had to hope that somebody else came in and sold the other 45. I wanted to get big enough to be able to say sell all the evens, 90 offer. That was quite an advantage because everybody else then is going to follow suit and go 80 offer, 70 offer, 60 offer. And if I put my hands up and just said at a half, I wouldn't even have to yell. At a half, it was 40 offer, 30 offer, 20 offer. That was, that's not how it is on the screens. The less we trade on the screens, the more money we're going to make because we're not market makers, we are market takers. So that's part of it. There were other. Can you guys hear me?
I can
Yeah,
hear
we
you.
can hear you great.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
There were other advantages of being in the pit, and I can see who was doing what. It was my job to know who was positioned and how they were positioned. Richard Dennis did huge size. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. Richard Dennis was one of the greatest futures trader ever. And if you guys don't know who he is, you should. Richard Dennis would come in and do 5, 10, 15,000 in the NASDAQ, and I knew which way he was positioned. I kept track of it. Danny Riley, Mr. Top Step on Twitter, D-Boy, he filled orders for the Saudi, the Saudi sovereign fund. He filled orders for the royal family. He filled orders for Marty Schwartz, Pitbull. So I knew how those guys were positioned. I kept track of it. There were multiple traders within the Saudi royal family. But I'm just saying, I would keep track of how they were positioned, and when the Nasdaq was moving, I knew that they were, just from a market profile standpoint, that we're getting near a place where they're going to start to consider reversing at, or not reversing, but covering at. It's almost impossible to tell on the screens. I was one of two traders that traded for Pete Stoudemire in 08 and 09 when he was trying to update market profile into the age of algorithms, and he couldn't do it. It didn't work. So I kind of left market profile behind. But there was a lot of advantages to being on the floor, and it was difficult to adapt to the screens for so many people because they would just sit in there. Here's another thing. So when this is like a major thing for most floor traders, another advantage was, if we're not doing anything, like there's no opening range breakout, we're not going anywhere. The market is just kind of sitting within a 30, 40, 50 point range. The NASDAQ, a broker would say, what's offered? 10 at even, buy them. 5 minutes later, bid, 90 on 10, sold. That's 10 grand. Now I'd sit there and flip that shit all day long. You cannot I cannot sit and flip. I'm a little older now, but I can't sit and flip all day long and scalp. I could on the screens. I could in the pit, can't now. The less I trade, as I said before, the less I trade, the more money I'm going to make. I'm looking to make a lot less trades, all process-based trades with bigger size. And I've been doing that since 2013, 14, gradually, with different, starting off with 1 lots and 2 lots and 4 lots and 8 lots and so on and so forth. I think about if the floors were still open and the pits were still open, whether or not, when I was in the hog pit, the hogs, the bellies died, in the 80s. The volume in the open interest dried up in the 80s in the bellies. So a lot of those guys migrated into the hog pit in the 90s, those old timers and the cattle. It started in the 60s and saved the Merc. But anyway, a lot of those guys were old dudes, and they would come in just to talk to other old dudes. Maybe every so often put a 20 lot, 50 lot spread on, but they just came in to see other people, have coffee and talk. I think I'd go onto the floor for those reasons. I much prefer trading on the screens. It was so much more stressful on the floor. It was so much harder on the floor. It was easier to make bigger money on the floor, but the life was harder. The life was more stressful. Trading was more stressful. This is just much easier trading, much better. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, you did
In
actually.
the way you wanted me to. But,
That's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you for that.
I would like to bring my sons are I'd like to bring my sons out on the floor. Not my daughters, but it was a rough place. Ask my wife will tell you about the incredible sexual harassment she had gone through until she established herself. But I'd like to be able to bring my sons on the floor. My 21-year-old son is a college baseball player. He's trading. He's had a great summer trading. He's doing exceedingly well. My 26-year-old son, well, he's got to find himself and get his feet on the ground. He'll be okay. I've got two daughters that definitely want to trade. My oldest daughter is got her master's degree, so she's off and living her best life. But this is the greatest business. I want all my kids to be traders.
I'm glad you mentioned it because that raised a wonderful question. Because I have four boys, and all of them want to do very well, and they want me to be able to say, "Wow, you're doing really good, great." And they push too hard, and they over leverage. They try to get something faster than they need to, and they self destruct. And then they go through this sulking phase, and they're asking for shortcuts, and there's got to be a way around it. What, as a floor trader that's been around for a long time, having made money, what are you telling your son? Like, what do you tell him to avoid? What do you tell him to focus on? And if you could just briefly, are you like momentum traders, or I heard you say you left the volume profile? Like, I'm not asking for all your details, but like, what type of style trader is he, and did he learn it from you, or is he trying his own things?
No, he's trading. He's trading my process. I wouldn't put any money into this. I would not put any money into an account for him and let him trade unless he was trading my process. And he does. My older son would be. It's my older son sounds like he would be a little bit more like your voice. Where you're like, nah, Dad. I got this. He's crazy. Um, my oldest son went out to he was he's when he was 19 years old or 18 years old, he moved out to Vail, Colorado for a snowboard season, and he stayed out there for 7 years. He just moved back to Chicago. He lived in Breckenridge and Vail. It's nice to be my son, apparently. Um, I wouldn't want him anywhere near the screens. But my 21-year-old son, he's a college baseball pitcher. He knows what it's like to give up, a 2 or 3 run home run, walk the next guy, and then have to get his rhythm back. He knows what it's like to face adversity. He knows what it's like to fail, and he knows what it's like to be able to take a step back, take a breath, and ask himself, what is my job here? Not what did I do in the last 4 or 5 pitches, or in the last 3 or 4 runs, but what is my job now? Where do I need to put this? Where do I need to put this ball here to get the best effect out of this pitch? What is my coach asking me to do? What are my players asking? My catcher asking me to do? He knows what it's like, so he's got the right mindset for a trader because of his pitching, and he's got the right pitching mindset because he's got a father as a trader, and because he's a budding trader. So he's got he's got the right tools, and as long as he stays within himself and he stays within my process, he'll be okay.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Anytime. Yeah, my
Pax,
older
you have
son.
a group. I
I'm
have a
sorry.
question.
Okay.
You have a group that you mentor, and I'm sure that there are some days that you, as a mentor, um, you probably have some down days, like you start, having emotional things going on, for the market, or even with your people. And how do you fight those days? So, like, what is your process on those down days emotionally?
Do you mean like in life, or like my overall
Yeah,
attitude, or
I
do you
mean,
mean
in life,
trading?
I mean, we're older, so we're kids. We with life, you have, putting aside the money, you have like your financial security, you have, your community, you're the mentor, like you're fine. But I'm sure that you hit one of those, those days that you're down emotionally. Like, what's your process during those days? Like, how do you overcome that, and how do you come, again, with that energy back to teach, and happy, and all of that?
Maurizio, I think I don't get down very often. I mean, Pippi will tell you, or other traders that are in here that will tell you. I'm generally a pretty upbeat person, and I mean, there. I think what I'm relating to, I'm usually a pretty happy guy. I mean, I go through life like a happy Larry David. I talk to everybody I meet. I got a cup of coffee before my Ninja Trader live show this morning, and sat and talked to the girl behind the counter for 10 minutes. I'll talk to the woman behind me, and she'll become my best friend for 5 minutes. I mean, I generally love people. I love life, and I'm incredibly grateful to have led the life that I've led. And I'm looking forward to. I'm 58. I'm looking forward to the next however many years I got left. I would. Elon Musk says if we make it another 5 years, we'll all live to be 120. All right. Well, I'm down for that. That'd be cool. But what I've got to guard against is I have to guard against making it about me. And because I think I become a less effective teacher or mentor or coach or just a trader or father or husband when I make it about me. I had a really, really good friend of mine who I've known for 40 years. That's in my group. And a couple of months ago, I hadn't taken much time off. I hadn't traded much. I'm not trading much at that time, especially. But I hadn't taken any time off from my group. And he's like, "You're making it about you." I mean, I didn't like the way he said it, but he was right. I was, and so I took a little bit of time off, and I really do a lot to take care of myself, and I do a lot to take care of the people around me. I mean, I go to mass. I'm Catholic. I go to mass almost every morning. I pray my rosary every day. I pray. People accuse Catholics of not reading the Bible. I mean, I read from script. I pray 6 times a day, and I read from scripture 6 times a day. And if you guys are ever in the rosary with me, you hear me do it. So my spiritual life is very, very important to me, and that's how I maintain a proper perspective. When I was in 2011, MF Global, I had $2.5 million in my account. I was trading just hog spreads and cattle spreads, and MF Global, huge amounts of spreads. And the way that I don't want to get it too far into the spreads, but the way spreads work is you put them on, seasonal spreads especially. You put them on as the spread is going out, or depending on how you're positioned. And then and so that requires a lot more margin. And then when the spread starts coming in and it inverts, then you're in profit. And then when it inverts, you're in massive amounts of it. So I had a lot of money, much more money in my account than I needed. When MF Global happened and that money was gone, I sat down and traded the NASDAQ like I was on the floor, but I was on the screens. I was at my house in my little trading office, and I was trying to make back that $2.5 million. And when you're chasing money, it never works. So instead of trading a process, it was just trading huge size and fading. And before you know it, we were broke. So there was my son, who's 21, the baseball player, the trader, was I think he was 8, on his 8th birthday. He wrote me a letter about at a high school retreat when he about this birthday. It was his best birthday, and it was one of the worst nights of my life. I sat there and listened to the 9 Inch Nails song that Johnny Cash played, called "Hurt," over and over again, and drank cheap scotch and smoked probably 2 or 3 packs of cigarettes, just thinking about how the big pile of shit that I've created for me and my family. And then it was my son's birthday, and just other things. It was a bad night, but it was the darkest night of my life. It was and I've gone through. My brother was murdered. Sorry, my wife called. So I'd been through some pretty dark nights, but that was the worst. And as I came out of that, one of the things that brought me out of it was reading the book of Job. And if you guys read anything, if you read scripture, or if you're having a hard time, read Job. And I mean, go through it slowly, and read it over and over again. one of the things that struck out to me or stood out to me at that time, it was all around the same time. It wasn't that day, but it was all around the same time. Was Job had, Job was the richest man in the land. He had a big family. He had everything that you can possibly imagine. And then it was God took it all from him. He took it all from him. Job got it back tenfold after he sat on his pile of dung and was grateful, just simply grateful for everything that God had given him. He was grateful for God's love. He was grateful for God's presence in his life. And when he was just simply grateful for God in his life, even though he lost everything worldly, he was given back everything worldly tenfold. Gratitude is so super important.
Hey, hey, Pax. Let me just add this real quick.
I'm sorry, my
Regarding
wife.
that literature on Job, um, he got everything back because he never lost his faith.
He got everything back, my brother, because he was grateful for God's presence in his life, which
Beautiful,
means he never lost his faith.
beautiful.
You're 100% right. But you cannot be a faithful person without being grateful. You know what I mean? And grateful for just simply, I mean grateful to the point of death. I'm grateful because God loves me. I'm grateful because God is faithful to me, in spite of my being unfaithful to God.
I love that, buddy. I love that. That's so powerful.
Thanks.
And if I may add something real quick, like you, Pax, especially Michael, both of you guys, since I came onto social media, and I started dabbling in here and meeting like-minded individuals who are in the same journey of trading. Some are more advanced, and some are better, well positioned than others. I see how both of you guys are constantly reminding others how the importance in having faith in your journey and in life. And I appreciate you guys for that, man. It's pretty awesome. You guys get to talk about that. I think is a great thing. It's beautiful, actually.
Well, without faith, we're clanging gongs, we're banging cymbals. Without faith, we are narcissistic, loud, materialistic people focusing on the temporal world and not the corporal world. The temporal world, the things of this world. And I think I've it's empty. Having a Mercedes for the sake of the Mercedes or a Ferrari for the sake of the Ferrari, who cares? But when we're all gonna die, the people that we love are gonna die. God forbid they die before me, but um, none of us were created for this world. We are all of us, we are all created by love, to love, and to be loved. And that's it. And our lives in this world are meant for us to become better lovers. Our lives in this world are nothing more than a blink of an eye in eternity. That's it. We are created to be with God forever, ever, and to bask in his glory in the beatific vision for all eternity. And how we love in this world is going to determine how we experience the beatific vision, not what kind of cars we had or the kind of houses we had or the in 2024, Gordo, when I had my AFib, which caused heart failure, um, my heart rate crashed. I've got bradycardia, so I've got a low heart rate. My heart rate crashed to like 15 beats a minute. Um, when I came close to dying at that point. When that happened, I wasn't thinking about money, and I wasn't thinking about cars, and I wasn't thinking about houses. I was thinking about the love I gave and the love I received and the love that I was surrounded by. That's it. That's it. So I'm grateful really, I mean this. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I'm grateful that I have breath in my lungs and a beating heart. I'm grateful that I have, more than I can, you know, more than I can ever want. I mean, and I mean, I don't mean money. I mean, I'm grateful to have the money I've got. I'm grateful to, but I'm grateful to have more love than I probably deserve. Um, more, just more. I've got
Abundance.
abundance. I would not be alive if I wasn't married to my wife. I would not be alive if I didn't marry that woman. I wouldn't be alive if that woman didn't believe in me when I didn't believe in myself. I would not be alive if I didn't have that woman's um, example of faith in my life, to be able to carry me through until I can see, uh, you know, until I can see God's faithfulness to me, through her eyes. I wouldn't be alive. I would have been. I cannot tell you how many people. I mean, I really, honest to God, me and Anthony Crudeli tried counting him up one time. We, I can't tell you how many people I've known, both off the floor and on the floor, that are dead by 60 or dead by 50. I mean, I lost count. They don't take care of the mind. They don't care of their body. They don't take care of their spirit. They don't grow in faith, hope, and love. That's what this whole life is about. God gives us each. I'm going to stop preaching in a second, but God gives us each 3 free gifts. All of it. Every single one of us are given this in equal measure: faith, hope, and love. It is up to us to how we learn how to accept that faith, hope, and love, how we grow in that faith, hope, and love. So my prayers for my kids, my prayers for my children are not that they become wealthy, or not that they become rich, or not that they have, an abundance of material possessions, or that they live long, healthy lives. My prayer is that they grow in faith, hope, and love every day of their life. That's it. And my prayer further for them and me is that I grow in seeing myself as God sees me, and that my kids see themselves the way that God sees them through my eyes. Does that make sense? That they see that I love my kids with an unconditional love, or as much as I can, and that they know then that God loves them in the same way, that no matter what happens, no matter what they do, God's faith, God's hope, God's love, and God's mercy is always freely available to them. That is freedom. That is real freedom. That makes me not afraid of death. That makes me not afraid of being broke again. That makes me not afraid of anything. And it makes me grateful. And we're all trading for freedom. We are all trading for freedom. If you're not, then you're not going to sustain success. I think I said this last week, Kat. Or maybe I didn't. I've said it a million times before. But if you're not a good lover, if you don't know how to love and be loved, you will not be able to sustain success as a trader. You can make money, but I mean over the long run. You'll make money a year, 2 years, 3 years, but something changes, something happens, something shifts. And and you don't know how to forgive. You don't know how to drop resentment. You don't know how to be forgiven. You don't know how to, you don't.
Saying thank you is so important. And the reminder you have, I mean, as a father, and I think anyone listening understands, but we try to convey these terms simplistically to our children as they're growing up. And I like to repeat here on Trader Roundup exactly the way in which I tried to convey this as an adult to my young daughter as she was growing up. And she repeated the words, "Thank you, God. Thank you, thank you, God.
Yeah,
Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God." And she would say it with each year, once she kind of understood what it was, each year we would add one set. So at night, when it was time for this young little child to go to bed, she would say thank you to God. And then she would list things that she was grateful for. And saying thank you for the roof over my head. Thank you for the food that I ate today. Thank you for school. Thank you for the books that I was able to read. She would have to go through this process. In different days, she would be thankful and grateful for different things. But as a father, I do believe strongly in this message, and we're conveying it here. And it's the same one. It's a very simple thing in which anyone can do. And that's finding a reason to be grateful for your reality, for where you're at. For if you want to be capable of receiving abundance, the only way to receive abundance in this world is through gratitude. And I believe that in that message that we can convey here on Trader Roundup, this energy that I believe helps elevate us as a collective consciousness, which is who and what we are and how we move within the X space here, is that collective consciousness and that growth and our ability to tap into this abundance, because the world that we live in is radically abundant, and we have enough. We have more than enough. And all we have to do is tap into that gratitude. And I just love you so much for tapping in or elevating the conversation today with your own anecdotal experience and natural level of what you deal with and what's made you who you are today. So that authenticity, Pax, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime, my brother, anytime.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I am, if there's, I don't know, if there's one overriding factor in my life, it is just I am grateful. I am profoundly grateful, and that makes me profoundly happy. And that, love is creative by its very nature. Love is creative, and it's also love. Love is creative meaning it must be shared.
And
It
we
must be
manifest it, right?
shared.
Like we create it. Like we create it. You have to want it, you have to seek it, and it becomes thought and emotion both together in its most nascent phase of being born as a seed. That's coming through your thought. It's coming through your thought conveyed with emotion. And some folks just don't know how to do that. Some
Yeah.
folks are so
Yeah.
just I say pip drunk into this process of folks strain and seek ways in which to do things correctly. What is the exemplar? How do I move in the correct form? And just having experience authenticity, having love in your heart, and coming here and trying to share that with others, that is who and what we are. That's why we take the time and energy to do this. And the
Yes.
listener needs to understand why we archive this, why we put together all of this stuff to be something that can be of value to whoever wants to come and listen. You just come and tap in, and hopefully it can take you out of the darkness that you're in, the turmoil, the struggle, because we all understand what that is. It can be internally, it can be within your own life, your lifestyle, things that you want to change. How often are there things that you could do different, yet somehow you don't exercise that discipline when you can, but you don't keep a promise to yourself? The small steps of doing the right thing is simply waking up, giving thanks, and doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, and how we talked about that last week. How do you do what you say you're going to do? Make a schedule, write it out. I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to make my bed. I'm going to hit my knees. I'm going to pray. I'm going to read scripture. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to stretch. I'm going to do whatever sort of exercise I need to do to get my blood going, right? And I'm going to trade, I'm going to adjust my charts. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. 10 o'clock, I'm going to go work out. Noon lunch, whatever, right? Schedule everything. And then if you do that, it's easier to do the things that you say you're going to do. How many times do you wake up on New Year's Eve? I'm going to work out every day the rest of the year. I'm going to lose weight, and you do for a month or 3 weeks, and then it dies out. The resolve is gone. But if you make a schedule every day and you just keep the schedule that day, it's easier to do the things that you say you're going to do, and then you become the person that you want to be, and then ultimately become the person that God created you to be.
Being prepared, preparedness. That's what we're referencing. And making a plan is being prepared. When you say you're going to do something and then you do it, there's a preparedness in you understanding what you are going to do. There's a conscientiousness to where and how you are moving forward, taking the next steps. There are strategies. There are ways in which you can analyze, step back, and know how you want to move. And that hopefully has to do with prayer, meditation, going to the gym, getting enough sleep. I promise you this, those of you who are very anxious on the charts, do enough exercise to where you're exhausted. Go to the gym and absolutely burn all of that anxious energy. By you doing that, you will come to the market with the level of peace that you are looking for. And at times, you might struggle with sleep. Do the exact same thing. You run and you exhaust yourself to the point that when you hit that pillow, you're going to sleep real well. And I know there are folks that are struggling with anxiety, that are struggling with sleep. And if you want stress management, sleep is a very good thing. And a lot of you are walking around sleep deprived, jacked on caffeine, and wondering why, burning the candle on both ends, why you're so stressed and anxious on the chart. And it's because you're trying to do too much. You're trying to carry a Herculean load. And you got to understand that you're dealing with men, with traders, with folks that understand what you're saying. You're not alone. That's why we're here. And you need this coaching because you must analyze your performance. Your performance matters. What your decisions that you make matter. Every decision you make matters. Everyone. The things that you think about matter. And you have to conscientiously remind yourself of what you are including and not including. And that's every single day. That's every single person. And I implore you, as is being talked about today, with great exemplar leadership, come to the Lord. Offer thanks for each and everything that you have in your life. It's real easy to bitch and complain. It's real easy to be a victim. It's real easy to require someone else to do something before you can do it. That's an excuse. I'm the mayor of that town. I know what making excuses looks like. But you need to step up and own what you do, how you think, how you feel, how you act. There's a minutia, there's a fractal within all of this, within the consciousness that we live in. And a lot of you folks haven't been loved. Pax makes a great point. Michael makes a great point. A lot of folks don't know what they don't know. And so you struggle. But the idea is this is a platform in which you can come, you can discuss. We want to hear your problems. We want to hear the struggles. We want to have these conversations with you. And the fortunate thing is you're getting a lot of intuition, a lot of what's being felt within the community. And gratitude is so necessary. And I mean, I just think we're at a really good spot within the call, within the conversation, within the messaging for the listener, the vibe. I want to go around the horn one more time, just to the co-hosts and the speakers, and give them, an opportunity real quick, as I'd like to close us down. 5:50, I like the time. And yeah. And you want to add anything to this, Michael? Pit much?
No, I thought it was a wonderful conversation. I feel clean. I got a lot of things off my chest as far as being a teacher, a mentor, um, weighing out the things that the students approach me with. Um, Obviously, you know the markets. We've been doing that pretty handedly, but the frailty of our humanity and wrestling with all the things that's going on in the world, the pursuit of success, the the trap of comparison, and trying to keep up with the Joneses. Everyone's trying to do better than what's necessary, and have a greater pursuit than what's required for you to just live well, comfortably, and not try to do it so braggadocious, over the top, flamboyant. There's a lot to say about living simply, even when you have lots of money. Living simply, being content, and as Pax was saying, and you hear me say it a lot too, you have to be, you got to be God centered, whether you choose to believe Him or not. Because if you have a relationship with Him, if you acknowledge Him, it's impossible for you not to be, well, full of gratitude and thankfulness, because your success can't come unless He allows it. Your very breath comes from Him every single day. The fact that you open up your eyes and take the breath in after falling asleep, that's a gift. Many of us, we take that for granted. For a long time when I was a younger man, I didn't see it as such. But as you get older and you get into your 50s, like Pax and I, you get a greater measure of appreciation for even the smallest of things. When you're younger, you got plenty of time to worry about those things, but you really don't. If you pattern your life early on like that, it enriches your life. You think it's going to take away the fun of life, but it actually, you get to savor life more abundantly. And trading should inquire a pursuit in that, not just simply let me have lots of money and stuff, because lots of money and stuff, once everybody sees you have it, nobody cares anymore. And then you're stuck in the pattern of I got to buy something else to entertain them, and you're doing these things to impress people that you really don't care that much about. You're just trying to satisfy this personal desire of self-importance. When if you turn your attention in gratitude towards God, you'll never fall into that trap.
I love it. I want to wrap things up, and I want to leave things the way I want to leave it buttoned up right here. So that's precisely what I'm going to do, is just button this up. Say thank you, everybody. This has been Trader Roundup. Thank you, Pax. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Pippi. Thank you, Gordo. Thank you, Mauricio. It's been a really nice conversation, and we'll see everyone next time. Have a great one.
Peace, my
Bye.
brothers and sisters. Peace to you all.
Peace out, guys. Enjoy your week.